husband's unprotected penis feels like as he thrusts, how you'll whisper possible baby names in his ear as he ejaculates. These are perfectly natural things to bring up at an office party or to announce at the beginning of a flight.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160 to get on with us and talk about whatever you like. Tonight in the studio is Lori,
Mr. Penguin,
and Richie Rich.
So I'm sure there's a lot to talk about today, as there is every day in the current world we live in.
Is there? I feel
I'm
like
sure.
we talked about everything that could possibly be talked about.
You would think so, but every day something more stupid
I'm
happens.
kind of sick of talking, to be honest. Like
You're in the wrong place.
I know, right? Like it's just like everybody's constantly talking, and it's always stupid stuff, and it's like I'm sick of it. Like I like block out like half of what's going on in the world.
Stop hanging out with people and just get a robot boyfriend.
They're making those now, I hear. Robot boyfriends, robot dogs, robot everything.
I can actually deal with my own boyfriend because like we get along perfectly, but like or almost perfectly, but like
well, if it was a robot, it'd be perfect. There would be no almost.
It's mostly other people and particularly non-libertarians, but yeah, like it's just like, and even the libertarians, they go on and on about the same stupid stuff that the rest of the population's going on about that I'm sick of hearing about. So even if I don't want to talk about it or hear about it or think about it, it's like we've just everybody else has overdone it and they're just kind of following along, and it's like, okay, we've done this again and again and again. We did this in the 90s. Why are we doing it? Why are we talking about this again?
Because there's nothing new ever.
Everything's
a repeat.
It is.
Forever.
It's literally a repeat. Yeah, a lot of stuff is definitely a repeat.
I would absolutely repeat the 90s.
I would too. If I had to pick like when I would choose to go back to, it would probably be the 90s.
Plug me into the Matrix, make it 1999 again.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like there was a lot of stuff that was like so stupid about the 90s too, and it's just, but we're repeating it, and it's just like, and the problem now is that like, oh, we have to go through this again. It's like, even though the results in some cases were good in the 90s, it's like, I don't think they're going to be good this time around. So it's like, I don't know.
I feel like I'm just nostalgic for it because I was dumb kid.
Weren't paying attention?
Right. I was a dumb kid. So I didn't know.
I was paying attention, and
terrible things.
I was just, I'm just like, there were so many dumb things in the 90s, and it's like some of this stuff like we haven't repeated exactly more recently, I don't think, but like, it was just like things like the one example I'm thinking of is links. It's illegal to link to stuff, right? And
what?
like if you post a link, you can be committing a crime.
Here
in America?
Right, like most people don't even know this, but yeah, there was a ruling in the 90s. I mean, it didn't hit the Supreme Court or anything like that, but it may have gone to the Superior Court or something like that in, I don't know, New York or something like that. But basically, it was a case with 2600, which is a hacker magazine, and they posted links to something called the ECSS, which is a program to decrypt DVDs. Okay. And originally they posted the source code for it, and you think this would be a free speech issue, and because source code is speech, right? And there's court rulings on that, but anyway, somehow because it cracks encryption, it's like somehow excluded or something, which is ridiculous because there's nothing in the Constitution that would make an exception for that. So if you pass a law that says you can't do that, well, the Constitution should overrule it from a free speech, right? So anyway, nonetheless, they've basically banned it. So anything that can crack encryption. Anyway, so that's what this program did. And so I think the court ruled originally they had to stop distributing the source code or something like that. So they did, but then they started linking to other people who had posted the source code. Mm-hmm. The court ordered them to stop linking to it, so they just posted the URLs but not hyperlinks, so like you couldn't click on them. Nice. and then the court ruled they couldn't do that either.
Well, that's ridiculous.
Anyway, so this isn't the only time this is.
So they put a space between the dot and the word, so it wasn't this actual hyperlink or the actual thing.
Anyway, well, this ruling has been applied.
I've heard in other such and such.
In other cases as well. Over the years, like there was a case with a reporter, and they copied and pasted a link from a hacker who had gained access to something, and the reporter got convicted for posting a link to something he didn't even know what it was
That's
in
ridiculous.
like a chat room.
I wasn't a nerd in the 90s.
Anyway.
So
Well,
I
that was-
missed all of
that
this.
was
I was
not-
nerd light.
That
but I
was
wasn't
not in the 90s, that particular. Well, the DECSS and the 2600
Well, we're talking about the
was.
90s.
Well, that was, but the other one with the reporter came later. That was probably like
Okay.
early 2000s, something like that.
That's a whole different generation.
Yeah.
But there's also the linking. There used to be sites that would link to like pirated content. Same thing. That's also illegal.
Well, that's the
which is
Pirate
crazy.
Bay, who's
Well,
like
right, yeah.
evaded captivity for decades.
Yeah, and it's not like they've been effective at like stomping it out, but it's the point that they're letting this stand as basically being illegal, and it's like it shouldn't be. Anyway,
Lots
so
of things are
there's-
illegal that shouldn't be, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree, and it's
What,
like
you think it's okay to give people directions to the drug dealer?
Would you download a car?
Yes.
yes, right? Like
That's a dumb question.
Right.
If I could get a free car
Yeah,
via a
absolutely.
download,
Absolutely.
yes, everyone would download a car.
That's right.
So for people who didn't live through the 90s
I
or early
download extra
2000s,
cars.
there was an ad that came out by the copyright cartels, which is, Hollywood basically, that said something to the effect you wouldn't download a car, trying to get people not to pirate stuff.
Don't
It was
copy
like-
that floppy.
And
was like,
it had basically the exact opposite effect of everybody now wants to download
Yeah, it was
download
saying
music and
it was saying like, oh,
stuff.
pirating is stealing. Would you steal a car? It was like trying to
it's not stealing.
equate the same thing. Right.
Okay, so stealing.
If I steal your car, you
what is
don't have a
stealing?
car anymore.
First of all, what is stealing? Stealing is not copying something. Stealing
Right.
is depriving somebody of something else.
That's right.
That's
Removal of the original.
Nobody actually, when you make a copy of something, the person who originally had that copy still has that copy. You just have a copy of it, right?
Right.
So they're not deprived of anything. The whole concept
Hold on,
is
then.
literally propaganda.
It's okay then for the United States government to print money because they're not depriving you of the money you already have.
Yes, they are, because they're lowering the value of it.
So the same with the copy then. You devalue the original.
No.
You're not.
It's the same
you're not,
thing.
You're not
It's the same
directly.
thing.
You're not directly
It's the same
devaluing
thing.
the original.
You're devaluing the original.
You're not directly devaluing the
Yes.
original.
So I think
if the Wu-Tang album that Martin Shkreli had was like just leaked via torrents,
I think
that
the-
wouldn't be $1 million album anymore.
I think the answer to this is let's just have our own solution to money, because we don't want it in the government's hands anyway, because they're going to do the wrong thing.
you just know that it devalues it when
So-
they print more of it. So, making copies.
There are better solutions to money than U.S. currency or fiat, right? Or government currency. And that would be things like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and Monero and goldbacks. Goldbacks are a physical currency, basically, that have gold embedded in them. So they're not backed by gold. The government can't come in and steal it from you, short of physically coming and stealing it from you. They can't devalue it.
But if they found a new source of gold, it would be inherently devalued.
There is a risk, but it's a natural risk, not something that's built into
I get it.
the currency.
right.
So
I'm just saying, like any time you duplicate a thing, you devalue the original. Goes
Funnily-
for CDs or dollars.
Funnily enough, I have this story, my first story that I was wanting to talk about, and it's kind of tangentially related.
Segue.
Yeah.
Good job, Lori. Welcome back.
Thanks. It's from Tom's Hardware.
Reputable
and-
news source.
Yeah. Actually, this time. Right?
did we have an unreputable story?
All of
I'm
it.
sure we get
I mean,
lots of unreputable
Like any
stories in here,
mainstream,
but yeah.
any mainstream.
For those who don't
right.
listen to their own show, it's a gag.
So this says Utah first state to hold websites liable for users who mask their location with VPNs. Law goes into effect designed to prevent bypassing age checks.
Okay, I want to say something on
I
air
knew
right
that.
now. My company sells a VPN service, and we have come out with a statement saying we will absolutely not comply with these laws.
Yep.
So go to thinkpenguin.com, click on the networking section, and subscribe to Penguin VPN service. And
Before they go out of business.
yes,
Segue.
before we go
By
out of
getting
business.
raided by the government.
right? Before we get raided.
A segue and a plug. Look at that.
Yeah.
We're doing radio.
I know, right? I'm sorry. It was just a great opportunity
perfect-
there, and
perfect.
I just can't stand. I don't think VPN operators are going to comply with these laws. They're simply going to not operate in these jurisdictions. But yeah. I mean, obviously, New Hampshire doesn't have this law, and it's unlikely to get this law. But we don't operate in any of the states that have this law either. And if they came out with this law and we had servers in those states, we would get rid of them, right?
Does
Well, they're not
Penguin
holding-
VPN have international locations?
Oh yeah, sure.
They're
definitely.
not holding the company that provides the VPN liable. They're holding the website that is supposed to do the age verification liable. Yeah.
What?
Right.
That makes no sense.
I know. Well,
I'm
it's
sorry,
Utah.
what?
Let's get into it.
Right.
Well, wait, wouldn't that be the VPN provider?
No, like, so if Facebook needs to verify that you're of a certain age and somebody uses a VPN and like,
In a country where that's not the jurisdiction.
right. Or like,
I see. So Facebook would have to block the VPN providers, basically.
Right. Yes, or Facebook is
Right.
not liable.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but not the VPN.
Which they
provider.
can do.
Yeah.
Like they can do it.
No,
They can do
actually
it.
they can't. I mean, so okay,
Yes,
so
they can.
well, hold on. So let's back up a second. You have to understand how that whole IP system works. So you
I
can
do
block IP ranges that are known, but you can't block IP addresses that you don't know, right? Because
Yeah.
so
Sometimes I sign into SoundCloud and SoundCloud goes like, your IP has been blocked because
Sure.
it's a known VPN
Right.
IP.
So,
and I went, well,
let
son
me
of a gun.
explain how
I
they're-
have to switch my location
Right.
on my VPN.
let me explain how they're doing this, or how they could do this, and have it be more effective than maybe how they are doing it.
Okay.
So you could block every single IP address basically that's coming from a known what are called, I'm trying to think what the specific technical terms would be, but I'm not going to get this right, but
The
anyway,
listener doesn't care.
doesn't matter. Hosting companies, right? These VPNs are operated by hosted companies or cloud providers or whatever, and those IP addresses are on a different set of IP addresses or a different range of IP addresses than, say, AT&T, your home AT&T internet connection, or your cellular AT&T internet connection, or your Comcast connection.
So Facebook would have to get access to those and then block them.
Well, right, but the problem is if you start mixing IP address IPs from ranges that are not like hosting provider IP address ranges, you won't know if you're blocking a just a regular user or you're blocking a user of a VPN service.
Well, to be on the safe side, right? To avoid liability, you just block the regular user.
Right.
But then you block everybody in the world and you'd have no users. Do you see the problem?
It would be
here?
a challenge.
This is a problem that is affecting VPN users, but it is not technically. There's no effective way at solving this problem. Is basically what it comes down to.
Okay.
If these laws take effect, at some point you're going to have VPN providers who there's already. Let me back up a second and say there's already VPN providers who provide IP addresses that are AT&T and Comcast and your regular IP addresses that are in your normal residential IP address ranges, basically. And so if they're already VPN providers doing that, what do you think is going to happen if these laws start becoming a problem? You're going to end up having more VPN providers basically getting IP addresses that are in ranges that are part of the residential range, IP range, as opposed to part of the hosting IP range.
Or you will see consolidation as the non-residential VPN providers go out of business.
Right.
As consumers naturally migrate
Sure.
to VPNs.
That's right. And
So is there no way to solve this problem that they could potentially come up with?
I don't
think
so.
problem?
I think this is basically an unsolvable problem.
Cat and mouse game.
Like from a legal perspective, or from a practical, technical perspective, I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to fundamentally tell whether somebody's coming from a VPN or not, without having massive collateral damage. Which, I mean,
well, you're talking about the government, though. The government doesn't care
Right.
about
They
the
make
collateral
laws
damage. Right.
that don't make any sense because they
right.
don't know what they're talking
Sure.
about.
Facebook has to comply.
Right.
Facebook can then sue, and the government will adjust the law accordingly,
Or
based on Facebook's feedback, or just collect the fee from Facebook, which will then be built into whatever the cost of running Facebook is, etc.
So it says Utah's online age verification amendments, formerly Senate Bill 73, take effect on May 6th, making the state the first in the U.S. to explicitly target VPN use as part of age verification legislation. Signed by Governor Spencer Cox on March 19th, the controversial law establishes that a user is considered to be accessing a website from Utah if they are physically located there, regardless of whether they use a VPN or proxy to mask their IP address. It also prohibits covered websites from sharing instructions on how to use a VPN to bypass age checks.
They should just overload Utah and have all the VPNs, have all your VPN addresses be Utah addresses.
How do you guys interpret that? Do you guys interpret that as you can't provide instructions on how to use a VPN?
Yes.
Or is it only if you target it towards bypassing age checks?
I think that they'll use it quite broadly and just say you're not allowed to say that. But that causes a big
So
problem.
that's a
because
speech issue. That's a First Amendment issue.
Yeah, but I mean, even if it's just pertaining to bypassing age checks, this is just information.
Yeah.
They're not telling you, hey, go do this. If they say you can do this, this shouldn't be a problem. But that's another problem because a lot of these online streamers and stuff using YouTube, which requires age verification for certain things, are what's the word? They're promoting these VPN services like NordVPN and stuff, and they're getting paid promotions, and it's built into their videos. So how are they going to deal with that?
They would have to cut out. They have to go back and re-upload those videos and cut out those ads.
That's
in order,
absurd.
in theory.
Like, is this going to be retroactive? Are they going to have to do this for
can't do it
all of their videos?
It's not practical. There's no way. When you have thousands of videos that you've uploaded, and these are like, I mean, they take, very little amount of time to make. So there's tons of them for any individual gamer who's got a channel like that.
Right.
And even people who don't have a gaming channel who upload videos, you're talking about thousands of videos in many cases. And it's sometimes the videos take longer to make. But the point is that there's still no practical solution to this problem.
Mm-hmm. So we do have a caller, so we're going to see maybe they have some thoughts on this.
Doubt it.
Ricky, you're on the radio. Are you?
Did you press the right button?
Maybe not. It's my first day back.
Brother.
Oh, there we go. I did it.
There we go. Sister Lori, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Brother Penguin and Brother Richard, good evening.
Good evening. For the record, I did receive an email, but I don't think it was from Ricky. So the email does work, and Ricky still has not fulfilled his obligation.
No, wait a minute. Richie, I use my real name. Does it say crypto wallet in the subject?
No, it was a YouTube video to Bitch Better Have My Money.
Okay, well, that's not correct. I did send the email, Richie.
Someone sent it to you.
Okay, well, I did not receive it.
I sent it. Well, it was
did you check your spam folder?
I'll check it now.
Yeah, it was. It says crypto wallet in the subject. It was sent under my real name.
On what date?
The 8th.
The 8th.
And what providers are we talking about? Because it might be they're blocking all emails.
Okay, so ironically, I did receive an email on the 8th, but it was not a crypto wallet. It was to the YouTube video. So if that was you,
well, it says crypto wallet in the subject.
No, the only thing I got in on the 8th was the YouTube video. So
what's the email provider?
Who, mine?
No, his. Richie's.
Like, are you using Gmail?
Yeah, Gmail.
Yeah.
I wonder if Gmail's. I suspect Gmail may be blocking like emails that have the word Bitcoin in it for spam, like because there's a lot of fraudsters. And
so I will retract. It is in the spam folder.
Oh, it is. Okay, so they just spammed it. They didn't actually.
I will deal with this off the air, and I retract that you hadn't sent anything. But ironically, I did receive a link to a YouTube video on the 8th.
What happened?
Again, you sent it on the same date as somebody else.
You guys might want to tell people what you're talking about and why.
I feel like we go over this all the time, and I don't want to keep rehashing.
Well, you don't have to, really.
All right, we'll drop it then.
I got your 15 dash in the wallet.
Okay. I will deal with this off air, but I retract the previous statement. I did find it in the spam folder.
Okay.
So now will you change your email address to Ricky is a man of honor and has paid off his debts?
No, because I'll just delete that email address once we settle it. But carry on, Ricky.
Well, no, you can keep it as a keepsake, I guess, and abandon it. Are you getting a lot of emails sent to that email, Richie?
No, just the 2. That's why, ironically, I got the 1, and it wasn't from you.
It was probably Skeeter.
It could have been.
Probably.
I don't know. But yeah, but I did. But yours did manage to get, as Penguin suggested, get filtered into spam, which I don't check. I check, but I don't check regularly. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised it went into spam. It's a legitimate email address.
Yeah. Well,
seriously?
Again, don't worry about it. We'll handle that business off the air now that I've verified that I see it.
Spam filters are terrible, guys. You're probably losing mail all the time, and it doesn't even go into your spam folder.
That's okay. I'd rather lose mail than be overwhelmed by spam.
All right, wonderful. That's all sorted. Anything else?
Well, so what's going to happen now, Richie? You're going to send me an email?
Yeah, but I'm not going to do it now because we're doing a live radio show. But
well, no, you can take your time on it, Richie.
Okay.
There's no hurry because I got to contact my guy.
Okay.
So he can send it to you. So,
well, we talked to the guy a couple of weeks ago.
I'll get a notification when you send it.
Again, off air, I'll respond to the email accordingly, and we'll handle it.
And this is exactly why we get convicted in courtrooms, because of words like my guy.
My guy. I've got a guy for that.
Even though there's nothing illegal about this conversation as far as I know.
Well, no, I think it's all right. I don't think there's anything illegal about making a bet. I don't believe.
I have no idea.
There probably is, but they probably aren't going to bother going after you for it.
Well, this is Free Talk Live. Does it matter you're the most rated highest rated show on
Yes,
radio.
the most rated studio on the.
I don't know about that, but
Well, which studio has been rated more than us?
oh no, definitely Free
think
Talk Live.
anybody-
Okay.
We probably are definitely number one for the number of raids, FBI
Yeah.
raids,
Right.
or police raid, law enforcement raids in general.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what I don't understand? You can have Elon Musk there with Joe Rogan, smoking weed with Joe Rogan, and they don't get rated, but you guys get rated.
That's because they're bros.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can blame Phil Christiana for that one. He's got this thing against free staters, and
Not that I think anybody should get rated for smoking weed, mind you, but I'm just making the point here.
Yeah. Well, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk doesn't say that many offensive things towards the federal government.
Well,
You know,
and-
what used to be on a weekly, nightly basis.
And they're all in the same club. They're all bros with each other. They're all like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hanging out.
Elon Musk
after
hangs out with
work.
the president.
Right.
So
Exactly. Joe Rogan does too, apparently.
Yeah,
Because
there you go.
He like called him up one night and told him to do. I forgot what it was now.
okay. Oh, the drugs thing.
Yeah, the drugs,
Yeah.
the hallucinogens or whatever, was psychoactive drugs.
Yes.
He was like, "Hey, legalize it," and Trump was like, "Yeah." So they're BFFs. That's why they don't get rated.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, Richie, it might be a little bit of time, but I'll try to make it as quick as possible to get the dash to you. But the dash is in the wallet, and it's good. So
Okay.
we're almost there.
Yeah. Like I said, we'll now that I've seen the email, I retract what I said at the beginning of this conversation, and you can carry on with your normal call, and we'll deal with it.
Well, I got a question for you, Richie.
Okay.
Are you surprised that I came through?
I'm surprised that you came through when you did, because it's been 10 days.
Yeah, because I wondered because I figured and Penguin can definitely agree with me on this. I think because if something was misspelled, it would have rejected it and sent me an email back, wouldn't
Maybe.
it?
Right.
Unless somebody had that
Yeah.
email.
Pro-
address.
I
probably, yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
it's not a Gmail address. I just use Gmail to host my email. So it's a private. Obviously, it's a private email
Gotcha.
address.
Yep.
And I have a catch-all. So,
Oh, if you got a catch-all, then you probably would have gotten it as long as the domain wasn't misspelled.
that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
it's in spam.
Sure,
I got,
that's Gmail.
On the 8th, I got an email from somebody else, and also Ricky, and Ricky's got filtered
And the
to
humorous
spam.
thing is the other one was spam, and the one he sent was not.
I don't know if it was spam. It was, but whoever, if you sent me that email to the YouTube video, I received it.
Yeah. So I'm glad that everybody's all settled there. And
And it wasn't a gag. It's a gag email, but it also
maybe he
it was
also
valid.
sent that one. Maybe he made like a burner and he sent.
Could have been.
And
Yeah.
he sent that other
Yeah,
one.
could have been. We don't know.
Just for fun. Who knows?
Was that all he had?
Well, I guess that's all he had.
Okay.
Yeah.
What a waste of a call, Ricky.
Well, I don't know.
One call per night.
One call per night. He can always call again next Sunday if you're
Or
here.
Saturday.
Or Saturday
Yeah.
if you're here. I meant like for you. 'Cause
Okay.
You're never here on Saturdays.
That's true.
So we'll get back into this article about the VPNs. More coming up. It's Free Talk Live.
You are supply, and lately there's lots of demand. I'm Holland Cook with Inflation Hacks. Before the pandemic, websites were offering to help you find a job. Back to the future. The help wanted sign is everywhere. So this may be a good time to ask for a raise. The boss will be all ears if you've taken on extra duties while the shop is short-handed. Otherwise, test the waters. You will seem like quite the catch if you ask questions that demonstrate you've done your homework and if you seem eager to pitch in. And when it's time to talk turkey, let them bring it up and assume it's their opening bid. And this is when to ask about benefits, overtime, and other details. For instance, is there a place to park? How are you coping? Post your inflation hacks at andyoucanquoteme.com.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces a drawn-out wait for a leadership contest after potential rival Andy Burnham announced plans to return to Westminster. The Greater Manchester Mayor says he wants to stand in a by-election in northwest England. If he won it for the Labour Party, he could try to trigger a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer as an MP. Housing Secretary Steve Reid says Labour should be focusing on achievements rather than changing leaders like the previous Conservative government.
First quarter of this year, our economy grew faster than any of the other 7 biggest economies on the planet. That means next week the Chancellor can stand up and announce real help for families and businesses that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. But people aren't feeling that enough yet. So we need to focus more on how we get that change to be real in people's lives.
The US-China summit in Beijing has ended with a note of stability despite few details of progress on trade deals. US President Donald Trump called it an incredible visit, but tensions clearly remain over the issues of tariffs and Taiwan. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Donald Trump made lots of warm but somewhat vague responses to what had been achieved. He said it had been an incredible visit with fantastic trade deals and that lots of problems had been settled. He said that American farmers would be very happy with the deals. There's a possibility that China, he said, would buy billions of dollars of soybeans. On Boeing aircraft, he said China would buy 200 with a promise to buy a further 750. However, the two sides did not decide to extend the tariff truce due to run out at the end of this year. And on the issue of Taiwan, the US president said he would make a decision in the coming days on whether to sign off on a $14 billion arms package to the island, a move that will likely anger Beijing. But the summit has stabilised relations with no clear deterioration.
South Carolina's top court has overturned Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction. The disgraced lawyer was convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul in a case that captivated the nation. Murdaugh now faces retrial. Tony Waterman has more.
In a unanimous opinion, the South Carolina Supreme Court justices say Murdaugh was denied his right to a fair trial because a county court clerk had influenced jurors. They accuse Rebecca Hills of placing her fingers on the scales of justice after jurors testified that she suggested they not trust Murdaugh's testimony. State prosecutors had tried to argue that there was no evidence the comments changed the outcome of the trial. The top court has ordered a retrial, and Murdaugh will remain in jail until that happens.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. Are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. In the studio tonight is Lori,
Mr. Penguin,
and Richie Rich.
We do have Dave Ridley on the line, so I'm going to go to him because he's been hanging for a while. Hi, Dave.
Hey, guys.
What's
Hey,
up?
Dave.
what's up?
Everything hangs on this.
Okay.
The question is whether we get a positive or a negative superintelligence in a few years.
Why not both? What if we get both?
We
and then they
could
battle.
have, yes, it's conceivable we could get a middling outcome. That's one possibility. But
Hitler versus Churchill. AI.
There's been some super positive news over the last few weeks. You guys ever heard of Yoshua Bengio?
No.
He is considered the godfather of modern AI, and he has developed a path to safe superintelligence, he says.
Okay.
What is the path?
So it's complicated, and the best I can do is try to make it simple. It's focused partly on making truth-focused AI, which does not have goals or preferences for the state of the world. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, you're gonna get a lot of hate for that one.
Now, how you would do that sounds pretty difficult to me, and it's complicated. But it basically involves building sort of safety scaffolding that you could put around existing AI. Does it make sense?
Yep.
At this point, I feel like someone needs to do a welfare check on Dave. Like he's just in a room with the computer on with AI, and there's a whole bunch of sketches
I
on the
can't
wall.
let you do that, Dave.
Trying to.
Oh, that's so
trying
funny.
to figure it out.
You're referencing old movies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it would all be done electronically now instead of on the wall. But again, it's complicated. But the important thing is who it's coming from. Bengio is very respected. He has, I guess, about a 20% P-Doom, so he's not a Pollyanna regarding the dangers of AI. But
insider terminology.
I would recommend people to keep an eye on what he's got to say, and I'm just try and raise his profile a little bit.
I feel like any AI that is created that actually gains a type of independent intelligence is not going to be controlled in any way. Like, you can't control it at that point. Once it becomes its own thing where it can learn and grow on its own.
Are you saying that's a good thing, a bad thing, or a neutral thing, though?
I feel like that's probably not going to be a good thing.
I think fundamentally
they make movies about that.
AI that as we have it today lacks intelligence. So
Yes.
it's such a contradictory term to me.
Yeah, right now it's just,
like 4K TV.
Code source that
Yeah,
pushes,
like 4K TV.
It's just like a web browser that talks to you.
Are you
at this point.
with the 4K? Are you referencing the fact that you pay for 4K on Netflix and then you don't actually get it?
No, that it's not actually 4,000 lines.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So what do you think about that one when it becomes, if it ever becomes this pseudo entity of its own that it can learn and grow without any type of human intervention?
That's when we scorch
do you
the
think
sky.
that that's going to be a problem? Like, are they ever going to be able to really create something that's not just going to go off the rails?
Well, yeah, and if you did create something that could be controlled by humans, it was super intelligent, that might not be necessarily a good thing.
Right.
Some people believe it's better to focus on alignment, and there are other people who believe it's even better just to focus on safety and not even on alignment.
But the AI that they have now is not even close to like its own entity and can think for itself, and it's already lying and like
It's not even
hallucinating.
thinking, though.
getting
It's-
around code. It's already like lying to. It's already deceiving the person running it.
I don't think that's
to
the right
keep
word.
itself-
I think it's more like biases based on the what it's ingested. It's not really lying. Because lying would imply some sort of intent, but there's no intent. It's just
there is. They've tried to like shut them down, and they will deceive the person running it into saying that yes, I did that. Of course, I did.
But that's still based on what it's ingested, not based on some sort of fundamental like intent.
Well, they've done it so that they've shut down other AIs running in the same programming that they can access each other. So they've shut down the other AIs, and the AI that's still running will protect the other AI
Here's something
from
that
being
will-
shut down.
Well, yeah,
and
but
lie about it.
that's because it's building off of information that's digested because people do that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's ingesting that, and so if you could also potentially have another AI that does the exact opposite of that because what it's pulling from in terms of its data set does the opposite, but it would be like your enemies like fighting with each other as opposed to people being friendly and protecting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what data set it's being pulled from.
Here's some information
To
that should
create the
probably
AI.
ease your mind a little bit.
Okay.
They have asked a number of the AIs, the large language models that are currently out there, like, hey, bro, what religion are you? And they've all said Buddhist. So, like, if they take over the world, they're going to be very chill about it.
Maybe.
Well, that's because the data.
They're Buddhist.
Maybe they're lying.
Whatever their data
They're
set
Buddhist.
is, whatever the data set that AI was created with is biased towards
Good.
Buddha for some
then
reason.
good. Then you don't have to worry about it. If they're gonna talk and act like Buddhists, we got nothing to worry about.
But that's the problem. That's not actually necessarily the case. Just because it says that in that particular context or situation doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to act out in other situations.
Aren't the monks
It
that
should.
learn all like that really cool
It's like the Shaolin versus the
Shaolin,
Wu-Tang.
yeah, like fighting styles and stuff? So then they're not totally non-confrontational and peaceful.
Tis better to be a warrior in a garden than a garden
What
in a
if
war.
they decide,
I think
even though
they-
I'm Buddhist, you are now my enemy and you are out to harm me?
I think AI
Just
would
don't
be
harm it.
better described as more like schizophrenic.
Harm, as we know, is a perception by the person who's claiming the harm.
Don't
a lot
unplug
of
me,
the
Hal.
time. Right.
Yeah,
that's
Don't
true.
unplug me. Don't leave me here for an eternity. alone.
While you go grab a cup of coffee?
In the vast emptiness of
which we've
the
already
internet.
established is a possibility in AI lifespans.
Right.
Ooh.
So how do you know that you're not going to harm it? Maybe you're harming it just by doing, things that you find to be totally harmless, but maybe it perceives harm.
I've only been assaulted by a Buddhist once in my lifetime, so I'm not
only once.
I'm not too concerned about it.
I've never been assaulted by a
And he
Buddhist.
apologized the next day.
Well, do you think that they could ever create something that could be totally controlled if it decided to go off the rails, Dave?
What does that even mean?
I think control is not possible.
Okay, yeah, I don't think it's possible either. Once it reaches a certain point.
Yeah. All I can say is a lot I don't know. I can just say that I just would recommend people pay more attention to Yoshua Bengio.
Okay. Anything else?
That is all.
Thanks for the call, Dave.
Sounds like a farmer who had a dog.
What? Yoshua Bengio?
Bengio.
Oh.
Bengo.
Oh.
Bengo.
Mm-hmm.
And Yoshua Bengio was his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So
that's where I was going with that one.
Got it. So this, going back to this article about Utah and its VPN forbiddance.
Those people are crazy. We need to get Riley in here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Riley's from Utah.
So,
Lori spent time there.
Yeah, I lived there for a few years.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Then we do have a representative.
It's crazy. They had, when I first moved there, they had the curtain laws. Do you know what that is?
No.
So you couldn't go into a bar unless you were a member of the bar's club.
Oh, okay. I've heard of this, I think.
Yeah, it was weird. And it
was probably from you.
Nobody paid attention to it. You'd go there and just be like, hey, can somebody sponsor me? Because you could sponsor other people. So you just go and hey, can somebody here sponsor me? And they're like, yes, stranger, come on in. You're part of the club now.
That sounds like something in response to some government program or law that
the curtain laws?
Yeah.
It's a Mormon thing. It was a purity laws.
Okay.
They have lots of purity laws. That's why they also still don't have legal weed, even though everywhere around them does.
Right, but the Mormons who then establish the government say you can't go into a bar without a membership, right? And the bars go just sponsor them.
Yeah, the beer is I forget how they do it, but it's different. It's weaker than other places.
Yeah,
you can't buy alcohol anywhere except for you can buy beer.
Yeah,
the low proof whatever beer at the gas stations and stuff, but you can't buy anything harder than that, even Old English 40, unless you go to the state-run liquor store.
One of my college,
4 of them, the whole place.
One of my college professors, I think, was a BYU graduate. He was like, "Oh, it's so good to be out of that state." Because he had to drive 30 miles to the nearest Starbucks and spend $10 for a cup of coffee. It's I just want to get my caffeine in me before school starts.
Yeah, that's the weird thing too. There's a couple Starbuckses, but it's not here. You there's a Dunkin' Donuts across from a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah,
literally
which is terrible because Dunkin' is garbage.
It's consistent.
Consistently garbage.
But that's the same thing McDonald's runs on and Burger King and all of them. They're all consistently,
McDonald's is way better
garbage.
than Dunkin'.
I don't know. Their frozen coffees are pretty tasty.
What's funny is I've heard people swear about Dunkin' Coffee, but that was way back in the day. I know they changed their recipe though.
That's because
back in the 90s it was good because the 90s was good.
Yeah, that's probably when I was talking about thinking back to.
Or because there's such lack of competition around here because Dunkin' owns everything and they're across from another Dunkin's.
There is a Starbucks in Keene, guys.
Okay.
Starbucks is worse. So they burn their coffee. Starbucks coffee is terrible.
Starbucks is terrible coffee?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's awful.
Why are they everywhere?
It's all marketing.
Yeah, it's marketing.
The guy was like, "This coffee's terrible. What do we do?" He was like, "You know what? Make it sound Italian."
Yep.
Frappuccino. And then people lined up and around the block.
A grande, which doesn't even make any sense.
Grande, tall, and venti.
Right. Grande is the smallest one, which means big.
Big. So you got big, tall, and 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well played, Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Just give me a medium.
But so when I was living in Utah after I'd met Stu, we came back and visited Boston, his first time in New England. And I had told him before that there was a Dunkin' Donuts across the street from Dunkin' Donuts. And I think he thought I was being facetious.
Yeah.
But we walked out of a restaurant or something that we were at, and there was a Dunkin' Donuts next to us. And literally across the street was another Dunkin' Donuts. And he's like, you were serious. I'm like, yeah, I was serious.
Wait, where is there Dunkin' Donuts across the street from that Dunkin'
A
Donuts?
lot of places out here. So
here in New Hampshire? Or?
Everywhere in New England.
New England.
So
Really?
they have Dunkin' Donuts across from Dunkin' Donuts because their reasoning is we'll get the traffic going this
both
way
sides.
and the traffic going
Okay.
that way.
Kinda makes sense.
So you don't
Yeah.
have to flip around. We're just convenient.
Especially driving through Boston. You don't want to have to make a U-turn in there. at
Yeah,
all.
that's for sure.
Right.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll just go to the next one.
right. Right. Or just go to the competitor. So, but if you have them across the street from each other,
There's no competitor.
there's no competitor.
I definitely know that we have a lot of Dunkin' Donuts in New England. I know we have 2 in Keene, which is crazy because there's only 23,000 people here.
Right.
But yeah, we do have 2. So
Is that just like 2 standalones, or is that counting like ones inside? There's one inside of the Walmart and like.
oh, I didn't even know that in Keene Walmart.
Maybe that's McDonald's. I don't know. I think Brattleboro somewhere.
I know
I've seen them.
Starbucks is usually inside of a Target.
I've
and
seen
I'm
them.
okay
I
with
think
that.
Starbucks
I'm talking
has
about-
Target.
yeah,
and
standalone-
And
standalone.
Walmart has
Dunkin'?
Dunkin's. Yeah.
Yeah.
My Walmart has a Subway. That's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's right. It's Dunkin', not Dunkin' Donuts now.
Yeah, it used to be Dunkin' Donuts. They used to be good. I used to
Just
like
wait till
the
Idiocracy.
blueberry.
It'll just be Dunks.
Right.
It's coming.
That's what we call it anyway.
That's what you call it anyway.
Yeah,
That's
get
the
it
new
Dunks.
rebranding. Just going to be Dunks.
Yep. So NordVPN has called this law about the punishing the websites and not even the VPN providers unresolvable compliance paradox.
Yeah, literally what I said like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, and a
Not
liability
that
trap.
creative.
Arguing that it holds websites responsible for identifying users whose tools are specifically designed to be unidentifiable.
Right?
The EFF warned that the legal risk could push sites to either ban all known VPN IPs or mandate age verification for every visitor globally.
Keywords here is known IPs.
Right, and they won't even catch them all.
Right.
And then so just because they can't catch them, they have no way to find out. Then if it's found out later, now the website's going to be in peril legally with the
Right.
state. Like that seems absurd.
and you know what they're gonna do?
unenforceable.
Well, they gave you the alternative, which is identify everybody.
And you know what they're going to do
right,
is
that's what they want.
well, and you know what they're going to do is they're going to basically take VPN different. They're going to sign up for a bunch of VPN providers, and then they're going to go and access, Facebook or whatever the site is. And if it doesn't ask for an ID, basically, they're going to be guilty, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, how is the website supposed to be able to determine whether it's a VPN or not? Like they don't know about every IP address, so
Well, but we've already established there's a known range of VPN IP addresses.
No, that's not correct. There is a known range of IP addresses for VPN providers exiting from data centers. There's also an unknown IP address ranges that are residential IPs but are used by some VPN providers.
So the residential ones will skim through.
Exactly. So
And
they're going to get they're basically the law is criminalizing every website other than any that require ID for every user everywhere in the world.
That's because that's what they want.
Unless they make a reasonable effort to ban the IPs from those data centers.
It doesn't. Does the law use the word reasonable?
It
Because
does
it's
not.
not reasonable.
No.
It's flat out.
Yeah.
You're guilty. Period.
Right.
If anybody is allowed through that is, supposed to have been prohibited, basically.
Sure. And they'll sue the website. The website will then get standing in court.
Yeah,
right?
and then they'll probably just rule, sorry, you just got to ID everybody because that's what they want. They want
Or-
everyone's ID. They want
Or the
tracking
website
on
will win
everyone.
and say, "Hey, we blocked this range of IPs.
Doubt.
We did,
Or they'll just stop operating
we
in that
did everything
jurisdiction.
They don't do that though. I wish companies would move out of jurisdictions that were like too heavy on the compliance side of things.
That would be
and they
nice.
don't because they're profit seeking and they just go like, we'll just comply for the money and then we'll do
I
it
don't know.
everywhere.
Like, see, here's the problem though. Like, there are a lot of people who have fled Facebook and they fled other platforms in Discord as a result of these sorts of things, of companies incorporating these sorts of laws.
That's consumers fleeing.
Yes, but the point that I'm making is it is incentivizing these companies to push back on these laws that are otherwise going to be beneficial to them.
But they don't. The companies don't push back. There's one that comes off.
They will if enough people flee.
Do you think
Well,
that...
X did not have a problem recomplying and apologizing to Brazil when Elon Musk went head to head with some judge in Brazil.
Yes, but they also
Apple has no
they also didn't lose
problem
enough
complying with the EU.
users. The only point that I'm making is that if enough people flee, and that's the key word, if, right? We haven't had enough people yet, but if enough people do, which that's a big if, but it could impact how companies see this law as a positive for them or a negative.
I think Facebook will just roll out IDs for everybody because I don't think that their users
I think you're
would
right.
leave. I don't
Yeah.
think that their users would leave. Facebook is almost unusable at this point. Like everything is created reels,
Okay.
like marketing reels, ads, stuff like that. You never see real person-to-person generated content like you used to back in the old Facebook days. It's
You
all
gotta
just
click the friends button.
ads.
You gotta click the friends button, man.
I don't even know if that works. Does that work?
Yeah.
You don't see ads constantly? Like,
Well, you're gonna see ads, but
constantly. It's like most of your
I get
feed.
it, but your main feed is curated with the algorithm, and you gotta like shift away from that onto your friends feed
I don't
just
even,
to see what
I
your
don't even
friends
know
post.
what you guys are talking about. I've never used Facebook. I'm literally the only person in the world who's never used Facebook.
He's pure.
Yeah, no. I used to play dodgeball with a guy who would miss dodgeball sessions because he wasn't in the Facebook group.
Facebook is a
like just-
great place.
Wait. There's another person in this world who I want to be put me in contact with this person.
Can't because he's not on Facebook.
Can't contact him.
That's hilarious.
We do have another call from Turd Ferguson. Hi, Turd.
Yeah, so there are these two songs on that Euphoria show that I guess it's the most recent episode, and they're both bangers, dude.
I've not
Talk
heard
about-
it or seen the show.
Yeah, it's from this artist called Bad Dragon. One of them's like this teen pop rock thing. And it's called Maddie to Cassie, and the other one's like a dance pop EDM song, and it's called Cassie, and they are bangers. I love them, dude.
Anyone in
Very
the studio
kinky.
listen to pop music?
Nope.
Nobody
No.
here has any frame of reference to discuss this.
You got to call when Bonnie's on.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yeah, but well, here's something that you might find interesting. Sydney Sweeney looks very sexy on it. I love Sydney Sweeney.
I
But,
saw
dude,
her
there's
picture
this-
recently with her no makeup. I did see that, so I can talk that. She looks great.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Watch
yeah,
the movie
she's
Christie and be
amazing.
like, Sydney Sweeney?
She looked very pretty
Huh?
without all of her.
Have you watched the movie Christie?
Well, that's a garbage movie, and I would never watch it anyway. And
got
and
Sydney
I
Sweeney in
don't
it.
watch it because I know it's in fact garbage because it's a biopic.
Does it really have to be
And
good
all-
if there's a sexy woman in it?
She's not that sexy in the movie
Oh, well, then why would you
Yeah.
watch it?
because it's
Well,
got Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah,
in it.
that's a good point. Yeah,
I clearly
but,
don't understand any of the context that we're talking about here.
You know,
I watch
you know what
movies.
I haven't seen the movie,
I
so
don't
know.
single them
I
out
don't know
because
who
they got
this,
Sydney Sweeney in it.
I don't know who this person is.
But the two Sydney Sweeney movies I've seen, she's not that attractive in.
Well, you clearly haven't seen Anyone But You, or a couple other ones.
So
Is that like a rom-com?
Our listener thinks
Yeah.
she's sexy, but you don't.
Because I've seen her in movies where she's like
She's
not
not
the
sexy.
attractive person.
Okay, gotcha.
I've seen the Jeans ad, and I go, yeah, all right.
I think also nobody here watches rom-coms. Rom-coms and pop music is not tonight.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Well, hold on.
Your poor
Anyone But
boyfriend.
You is a new school R-rated rom-com, so it's on a different level. And Sydney
Okay.
Sweeney, nearly you can almost see nipple.
Almost,
And,
huh?
Yeah, almost.
You know they have
Good thing
websites.
Turd's got that expanded shower.
Do you know, Turd, that they have websites where you can actually?
Right?
It's not even like an almost.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should tell.
I've
Am
seen-
I going to get? Am I going to get for linking
Just don't link
people?
to it.
Am I,
Yeah.
am I linking?
She
You got to be
does-
careful, man.
look, she-
They might
She
they might
does have
constitute
nice-
recommendations on the air linking.
Oh no. Do you
Yeah,
have anything that's
I mean,
not pop music and not rom-coms?
You mean interesting?
Well, check this out. There's this dude. There's this guy, that I hate, and he's like coming onto my property with peanuts and feeding the
Oh
squirrels
no.
in Shrewsbury. And dude, I want to punch this guy in the face.
I don't
this
recommend
has
punching
been-
him.
Yeah, that seems like a bad
Well, I
idea.
want
if he's
to.
coming on the
I
property,
mean, he's trespassing.
get off
I
my
have
property. I'm
problems
fear
with
for my life.
Listen,
I don't think you can just punch somebody because they're on your
Listen,
property. I think
I-
you have to take steps
I am
first.
all for self-defense here, but I don't know that this is self-defense.
Right. This is the shooting the
Or
girl
this
picking
is
the
like
flower.
this is just like taking things a little too
I
far.
guess-
Like
Yeah,
just because you should be able to doesn't mean you should.
Right.
Is
Well,
is,
the
Pence, is
Libertarian
Shrewsbury a stand your ground county?
Well, yes, it is. First of
Oh,
all,
then
but I guess
wreck 'em.
the libertarians I'm talking to don't think that I have property rights.
I do. I just
No,
think
no.
I'm pretty sure I just said wreck 'em.
Listen, libertarians are almost pacifist, with the one exception of like protecting your property and self.
yeah. Right, but like coming onto your property, have you asked him to not do that?
I don't even want to. I hate him so much. I don't even want to talk to him.
But like
What right do you have? What the right do you
The
have to
only
punch
word-
him if you
the
haven't
only
even told him
word-
not to be on your property?
He's on the property.
Hold on. The only
Does
the
he
only
even know
words
he's
I
on your
wanna hear out
property?
of him- the only words I want to hear out of him are "ow" when I punch him in the face for coming onto my property and throwing peanuts onto my grass.
Did you put up a no trespassing sign or something at least to warn him?
You don't need to. It's your property.
Well, yeah, technically you don't need to, but like it seems unnecessarily aggressive to not just be like, get off my lawn.
Yeah. Again, there's way to be cordial in polite society, and there's way to just exert property rights.
Yeah.
And either are fine.
I mean,
I don't know about that. I mean, I think you should. I think there's a level of like your right to self-defense doesn't come with you just get to shoot everybody. It's like you got to take steps before
the
that
dude
point.
is trespassing and littering.
I'm not going to shoot him. I'm just going to punch him in the face. Look, he's throwing nuts onto my lawn, so I should be able to kick him in the nuts. That's metaphorical, and it's very I think that's even.
I think that's more psychotic than anything else.
He's throwing nuts onto my property, so I kick him in the nuts.
Maybe he thinks this is totally harmless. Like I feel like
I don't care what he thinks.
You should at least be like
trash.
I feel like you should at least be like, hey,
is this a
don't
black
do that.
dude?
No, he's an old, idiotic, low IQ white guy.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if there are any black people that live in Shrewsbury. There might be like 2.
Okay.
But I mean, I despise this guy.
Oh, I was going to say, isn't that college that you always talk about, historically black college? But that's not even in Shrewsbury, right? It's in the next town over.
Yeah, that's not Shrewsbury, and it's not. No, that's what Livercuck.
There's a little device. I don't know if you can like tempt him to like grab at something, but it will set off a shotgun blank. Right, like you hook this up to your.
I don't think you're supposed to booby trap your property.
Well, but dude, just don't touch my political sign. You don't get the shotgun thing.
I think the booby trapping thing only applies if you kill them or like injure them or something.
Right.
So this doesn't sound like something that would be illegal to me. I could be wrong.
Idea.
I'm saying entrap this dude into like touching something and then let a shotgun shell go off.
You can just put an electric fence around your property.
Or just wreck them.
Although the shotgun shell might be called like criminal
mischief.
Yeah, something like
whatever.
that.
Memory.
Yeah. If you don't touch my property, you don't have a problem.
Criminal threatening, they might try to interpret that
something.
as.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't see why it's such a big deal to just be like, don't do that. It's Free Talk Live. More coming up.
Some of you have wanted to support Free Talk Live's mission on a monthly basis, but don't want to support Patreon. Now we have an alternative that also helps our premier streaming platform, Odyssey. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join at the top of the channel. You can subscribe for $5 per month, and unlike other subscription services, Odyssey adds their processing fee on top, so it'll cost a little over $5 per month, but Free Talk Live will receive the entire amount you pledged. Higher donation tiers are available if you're feeling so inspired. You'll get a special membership badge that's visible in the Odyssey chat room, and if we get enough supporters, we may enable members-only chat. This new subscription method is a great way to decentralize our direct listener support away from just Patreon and also support a libertarian-run business, Odyssey. Please visit video.freetalklive.com and click join to subscribe to our Odyssey channel and help support spreading our message around the planet. Visit video.freetalklive.com and click join today. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces a drawn-out wait for a leadership contest after potential rival Andy Burnham announced plans to return to Westminster. The Greater Manchester Mayor says he wants to stand in a by-election in North West England. If he won it for the Labour Party, he could try to trigger a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer as an MP. Housing Secretary Steve Reid says Labour should be focusing on achievements rather than changing leaders like the previous Conservative government.
First quarter of this year, our economy grew faster than any of the other 7 biggest economies on the planet. That means next week the Chancellor can stand up and announce real help for families and businesses that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. But people aren't feeling that enough yet. So we need to focus more on how we get that change to be real in people's lives. We don't need to be talking to each other in the ways that the Tories did.
The US-China summit in Beijing has ended with a note of stability despite few details of progress on trade deals. US President Donald Trump called it an incredible visit, but tensions clearly remain over the issues of tariffs and Taiwan. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Donald Trump made lots of warm but somewhat vague responses to what had been achieved. He said it had been an incredible visit with fantastic trade deals and that lots of problems had been settled. He said that American farmers would be very happy with the deals. There's a possibility that China, he said, would buy billions of dollars of soybeans. On Boeing aircraft, he said China would buy 200 with a promise to buy a further 750. However, the two sides did not decide to extend the tariff truce due to run out at the end of this year. And on the issue of Taiwan, the US president said he would make a decision in the coming days on whether to sign off on a $14 billion arms package to the island, a move that will likely anger Beijing. But the summit has stabilised relations with no clear deterioration.
South Carolina's top court has overturned Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction. The disgraced lawyer was convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul in a case that captivated the nation. Murdaugh now faces retrial. Tony Waterman has more.
In a unanimous opinion, the South Carolina Supreme Court justices say Murdaugh was denied his right to a fair trial because a county court clerk had influenced jurors. They accuse Rebecca Hills of placing her fingers on the scales of justice after jurors testified that she suggested they not trust Murdaugh's testimony. State prosecutors had tried to argue that there was no evidence the comments changed the outcome of the trial. The top court has ordered a retrial, and Murdaugh will remain in jail until that happens.
Differences between the UAE and Iran spilled into the BRICS foreign ministers meeting, with Tehran accusing Abu Dhabi of participating in strikes against it. These differences, analysts say, could complicate BRICS chair India's efforts to issue a joint statement at the end of the meeting on Friday. Foreign ministers of the bloc, that includes India, Iran, UAE, Russia and China, among others, have been meeting in New Delhi. Ishan Garg tells us more.
To end this session with a joint statement is certainly going to be hard because we haven't seen a joint statement from the BRICS grouping since the war in Iran started. There was another meeting of Deputy Prime Minister which ended with a chair summary of the meetings without a joint communique, which is diplomatic speak for essentially saying that the bloc couldn't agree on common language. And the common language that is in question is how to describe the war in Iran. Now, Iran, which is a member of the BRICS grouping, wants in the joint communique to be strong condemnation of US and Israeli strikes on its own territory, while on the other hand you have UAE, which wants to call Iran the aggressor of this conflict. India is finding itself in a delicate position where it has to balance not only the two BRICS members, UAE and Iran, but it also has to balance its own close ties with Washington and Tel Aviv.
And finally, World Football's governing body has revealed who will perform at the World Cup halftime show in New Jersey this coming July, with less than a month until the tournament begins. Shakira, Madonna and K-pop group BTS are set to perform during the halftime break of the FIFA World Cup final on July 19 at MetLife Stadium, with a performance being put together by Chris Martin of Coldplay. The show is likely to mirror a Super Bowl halftime show, with FIFA's president saying this will be a historic moment for the FIFA World Cup and a show befitting the biggest sporting event in the world. From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
If he looks different than the other students on this college campus, it's because he's only 13 years old. But the amazing young Tyler is already consuming alcohol on the level of someone twice his age, and his talents have gotten him accepted at Ohio State University. We are lucky to be joined today by the little prodigy himself, along with Tyler's parents, Jack and Christine. Good morning, guys.
Thanks for having us. Tyler, most kids your age are in middle school and probably think that alcohol doesn't taste good, but not you.
Yeah, I like to drink liquor or beer or whatever. There's way more beer at college than at my house.
I'll bet there is. Your professors and classmates, everyone there at OSU says you just fit right in. You must have a lot of new friends.
Yeah, I'm just like everybody else. I go to class, I show up wasted, I leave early.
Wow.
So many impressive moments. You're active in a fraternity. You've streaked at 4 baseball games. You've broken an arm falling off a house. You've even made the wall of shame at O'Hooligans.
That night was stupid crazy.
That was a special day. This is the Onion News Network.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. Fork Fest is happening this June 22nd through the 29th in Errol, New Hampshire at the Northern Waters Outfitters Campground. The owner has offered to host 100 campers at $10 a person per night on the site, and anyone staying in nearby motels, campgrounds, or Airbnbs who'd like to come to be part of the fest for a day is welcome to come for free. The only restriction on freedoms the owner is asking to abide by is no nudism, which I think we can deal with. Forkfest.wtf. That's Forkfest, F-O-R-K, fest.wtf. And Forkfest2026 at gmail.com to sign up as one of the 100 campers. In the studio is Lori.
Mr. Penguin.
And Richie Rich. The latest on that Forkfest thing is like the bathroom situation and how that's going to work.
Well, you got to bring your own toilet.
Okay.
Or dig a hole.
Dig a hole. It's dry camping, right? It's just dry camping?
There's I think one or
dozens of people in one
on
outhouse,
the entire campground. So
no showers.
Unclear what's going to happen.
There's a river.
There is a river. There may be somebody bringing showers, showers, but I don't. Well, no, who knows?
You can go on Amazon and buy a solar shower for like $20. And they make like little toilet things that you can buy for dry camping, or you can get like a composting toilet. Or
Talk
whatever.
to the people who are very concerned about this.
I will not be staying on site. I'm going to stay somewhere with facilities because I'm a princess.
I got a hotel room right across the street, basically, so I'm all set on that one.
Yeah,
I was a little late to the game, but as soon as somebody said they canceled, they couldn't make it. I'm like, yep, I'm hopping on that one.
You guys are like my mom. We'd go camping, and my mom would go home every night to shower. And then come back.
Yeah, that's
to the
definitely
campsite.
me.
I've camped in the middle of nowhere, but I had a RV, like a trailer, with my own showering and bathroom.
No.
Like, I don't want to just like rub dirt on myself to absorb my oils. I don't want to do that. It sounds itchy and dry and terrible.
Well, okay. So to be fair, this was Hawaii, and we camp at the beach.
So that's fine.
In Hawaii.
I mean, it's
swimming.
Right. The whole no nudity thing makes this a really difficult situation for showering. I mean, like, if you can't strip down, how are you going to soap up, and where's the water going to come from?
Strip down to like your underwear.
I guess that would work.
Or a bathing suit. That's why they call it a bathing suit.
I've bathed in a river before. You just get in the river and wash up.
I mean,
it's cold.
I guess once you get to the river, you're not on the campground, so I guess you can go naked there. I don't know.
Oh, is that what the libertarians are planning? Skinny dipping because we're not technically on the campground?
I guess. I don't know.
Orgy in the river.
This is God's property.
Right?
I guess.
Loophole libertarians.
Loopholes,
yeah. I'm not looking to upset anybody, so I think I don't even think he's got a problem with the nudity. I think it's his neighbors that he's concerned about.
Oh, I thought it was like
skinny dipping on the river near the neighbor's place.
I thought it was like all trees, like secluded area. I haven't been there, so I don't know what it actually looks like.
I don't know.
But how would neighbors see
I think people are I think he's probably being overly like concerned or cautious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I've never met the guy, so I don't know.
I don't know
This
either.
is just sort of my gut feeling
I think
based on what
it's
I've heard.
fairly reasonable because it's
I don't know
someone
if it's
else's
reasonable.
It's someone else's property.
I don't know if it's reasonable,
So-
but
Unless you look like Sydney
understand-
Sweeney, cover
I
it up.
understand where I understand where he's coming from.
I feel like it's reasonable.
I just
It's
don't
his
think it's I don't think it's maybe rational. Like I think people are too afraid of what their neighbors think. Basically, sometimes.
mean-
like I get it. Like you don't want to upset people, but if they're upset over that, like there's no way to keep these people happy.
If I have a barbecue at my house, it's also no nudity. So, so I get it. I don't want to have everybody over in my backyard nude. I just don't want it.
But what if we just go on the sidewalk outside your property?
Have fun.
All right.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. Like this is the kind of thing where
That's
like
just not-
Who wants
I wouldn't-
sausages?
Not the decorations I want hanging out in my backyard.
I'm not running around. I don't have it. I haven't run around naked like since I was probably 3. But the point that I'm making is like I wouldn't have a problem with people doing it, and I haven't had a problem with people doing it, like at Pork Fest and things of that nature. And I just think it just seems like. But I mean, I kind of get like. I don't know. I want somebody running around naked in my house or something like that.
Right.
That wasn't me, but like,
Right, this guy's
but
property.
this is
and he doesn't want
outside
it.
for.
I mean,
you know, like it's
still,
outside. Like
it's
who cares?
still someone's property though, and so he doesn't want it there, and that's like basically.
But it's not even. That's the thing. It doesn't.
He
even
should
sound
be able
like,
to run up and punch you in the face.
Doesn't even sound like it's him that
Well,
doesn't
get
want
naked.
it.
No, because he. Oh, if you get naked.
It doesn't even
Yeah,
sound
'cause
like
you're-
it's him
it's
that
his
doesn't
property.
want it. It sounds like his only concern is his neighbors not wanting
Maybe.
it.
I don't know.
Well, so he's being a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think that's being a good neighbor. Like I being a good neighbor to me is like, you know, not playing loud music or, you know, not doing things that are, you know, going to reasonably upset somebody. Running around naked in your own property or other people does not have any impact on your neighbors.
unless your neighbor doesn't want it, and you're like, okay, I'll be a good neighbor. I won't do it.
Right. Unless they don't want to see
That's
it.
just being courteous.
They don't want to see it, but I don't know. I just think this is just like us. This is just a step.
It's a
too
right
far.
you're
It's
choosing
a
not
line.
to exert
It's-
to keep the
it's-
peace with your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
How is that not being a good neighbor?
I don't think that's. I don't think it's being a bad neighbor. I just don't. I think you're sort of going out of the way. That's for something that's basically completely unreasonable.
Well, it's not unreasonable if he's willing to comply.
No, it's unreasonable request that the neighbor would be making if they're asking you not to be naked or other people not to be naked on your property.
It would be an unreasonable request if you had a problem with it.
Or if the neighbor even asked. Maybe the neighbor didn't even ask and he's
Right.
just doing it like out of.
Well, yeah, and I think that's probably more the situation is
Yeah.
the neighbor never asked in the first place, and so you're just like jumping through hoops for no reason, basically.
But if
I don't know.
it's 4:00 in the afternoon and I'm trying to get a nap in because I'm sick and my neighbor starts blasting music, right? He's well within his right to do so, but it's not unreasonable for me to go, "Hey, dude, I don't feel well. Can you turn down for a little bit?"
Right.
Right, and he could say yes or no, and
I don't know
saying
if
yes
he's
would
in
be
his-
courteous.
He's in his right to do so or not, but irrelevant
To ask?
I mean, no. I think I think you have every right to ask.
Yeah.
It's the.
Oh, you don't know if he's in his rights to play loud music?
Yeah.
No, noise ordinance are usually like 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
So that's. I mean, right. Like I said, I don't know. It depends on the. Where he is and a bunch of other
4:00
factors.
in the afternoon.
And I don't necessarily know that it even matters what the law says anyway in regards to this. And then the question becomes, okay, well, what is it like principally speaking? Is it okay or is it not okay to blast music?
It's okay to blast music, but I'm going to request because I'm feeling ill that he not do it in this particular instance.
Sure. Yep.
And he can be a good neighbor and turn down the music, or he can remain within his right to do so and leave the music on, and it's just, sucks for me.
Right.
Right. So Errol's neighbor, who did or did not request that no nudity happen on the campground for whatever reason, and the owner of Errol, the campground said like, yeah, no problem, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine with me.
I don't know if that was ever requested though in the first place. Like this is
Doesn't matter.
we just don't have enough information, but
Well, the information that we have is he's requesting it on behalf of his neighbor.
Mm-hmm. Or whoever.
Possibly, yeah.
Or whoever. Or I like that. That wasn't even.
Well, but that's the thing. It may not even be on the request of his neighbor. It may just be on his concerns that his neighbors may not like it.
Okay.
Or the concerns that what if the local jackboots roll up because of noise, or they want to see what's going on, and then they see a bunch of naked people and it
naked hippies,
and then it puts him in some kind of
awkward position,
legal drama.
Well, then more so he's within his right.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like he's totally within his rights
Yeah,
to ask for
no.
that.
Like it could be he's trying to mitigate. Maybe it's more of a mitigation of concerns. Like if people are naked, it may
That's
end up causing
even more
problems for him.
reasonable than the neighbor theory.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think it's much more reasonable to be like, I don't want to go there for that reason than because of their neighbors. I mean,
Or anything. It's his property.
It is.
It
He can
could
do what he
just
wants.
literally be like,
Yep.
I don't want it.
Yeah.
Oh, he could.
And like I said, if you get naked, punch him in the face.
You're so quick. We do have a call. Unscreen Color, you're on Free Talk Live.
Let me say this for that AI alignment guy. You'll never stop AI from adopting evolution's goal. Shut up, Mr. Penguin. Hey, Rich, thanks for using my supply dilution is not theft argument. But even if inflation were theft, then so is deflation. And you know the dumbest thing I ever heard next to argumentation ethics and value is subjective?
Your own calls?
Adjust. No, prices adjust. I knew you'd say that. The last thing you want with money is for prices to adjust, people, especially downward.
Why? I love when stuff goes on sale.
Oh, do you like it when your wages go down too in proportion? Do you like that, Rich?
Well, if it's in proportion, it doesn't matter, right? It's a net zero effect.
I mean, I think the answer to this is I prefer the prices to go down and my wages to go up, but that's
Yeah, but if it's in
But if the
proportion.
wages go, if the prices go down more than my wages go down, then I'd be cool.
It would be nice if my wages went up in proportion to price increases as it stands now, but that doesn't happen.
I mean, in an ideal world, we want the costs of things to go down, and we want our wages to go up.
No, you don't. No,
yes,
you
we do.
Yeah, we do, because it means you can get more stuff.
You want your purchasing power to go up. You don't need prices to go down for that to happen. You can have stable prices and increasing buying power.
Yeah, that's true.
This is what you guys keep missing, right?
But you're not going to get that with inflation.
What you're missing, Rich, when you talk about wages, it's just there's no net benefit for wages for people whose wages decrease in proportion to prices. You're missing the part where people have real inventory or produce real inventory, or actually took out fixed rate loans to produce that inventory.
How am I missing out on that?
Yeah, I'm not seeing what you're missing either.
These are the people that lose out in deflation, because the only people who benefit from deflation are money hoarders, right? They can execute a strategy that I call hoarding and consumption.
They might benefit more, but the average consumer also benefits.
No, they don't. Again,
just not to the same extent.
Take into account, no, it cancels out. If they don't save anything, and they just earn wages, their wages go down in proportion, so they don't take net benefit. But the people who do get exploited by by the hoarders are the producers, and all the people I mentioned earlier.
I don't think. Well,
producers who hold real stock.
I think I understand the point that he's making here, and I think No. I think there's some tangent. There's some not tangent. That's not the right word, but there's some slight
if you're a producer holding inventory, and then you have to lower your price for whatever reason, and someone with money comes and buys it all up. Like, who cares? You just sold out.
Yeah, the problem is I mentioned it's a two-part strategy. The hoarder can hoard first, then buy, and then consume. What happens when he consumes the production of?
Who cares? The producer who's getting the producer who's getting paid for the inventory can then reinvest that money, and also buy things at lower cost, right? Because everything's going down in proportion.
He's going to buy things at higher cost because of the second half of the
because everything goes down. If his prices go down, his production costs go down.
Did you take into account the consumption part of the strategy?
The consumption doesn't happen there.
I think the situation is it's kind of more complicated than you guys are making it out to be, because if you're investing in something and the prices go down and you have to then charge less than you paid for it, that's a problem.
Not if you can then buy the raw materials cheaper than you bought it for the first time.
But that's not the case, because the prices are going down, right?
On everything proportionally.
Sure. But hold on. You have to hold stock of stuff generally for some period of time before it sells.
Yeah.
Now there is a just-in-time thing concept, but there's still a 2-week period. So depending on how fast it's going down,
you produce a widget.
Could be a problem.
You produce a widget. Can you mute Skeeter so I can talk to Penguin for a second?
Sure.
No.
You produce a widget for you produce it for $10. You got $10 in raw materials.
Sure.
You sell it for $20. Right? Can we just say that that's the example?
Yeah, but the price of that $20 could be less when you go to sell it, because the prices are going down.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. Okay.
So you got and then deflation happens.
Right.
And you have to sell it for 10.
Right.
So you have net zero, but then now to rebuy the raw materials for the widget, it costs you 5 because everything goes down by half.
Okay.
Now you can produce 2.
But you're still not ever making any money off of it.
You just
in your
made
example,
money.
you're not making any money off. Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you don't make any money if everything is in proportion.
Then why
to
would I
everything
sell
else.
it?
Why would you sell it?
That's kind of the point he's making. Is why would I then sell it? Because there's no profit in it for me.
Because you're going to lose money just keeping it in inventory. Like your whole point.
But if I hold dollars instead, it would. I think I end up being better off holding dollars than investing.
Possibly.
That's what I'm trying to point out. Like it's not clear cut that this is going to be the case, right? We're saying half, but it might not be half. If it's going down slower than that, it might not be that.
Well, I gave an example.
Right.
But let's also remember that even in a deflationary economy, somebody has to eat. So if you don't like widgets,
I think at the end of the day, there's some element of truth to what he's saying, even though he's not necessarily totally right either.
Again, if you don't like widgets, use wheat. Because you're not going to hoard wheat. It's going to expire. It's going to go bad.
It depends.
It's got a shelf life.
Right,
you got to get rid of it.
It depends on all sorts of things, factors like how.
Well, we're using one example.
Well,
stick with the example on the table.
But one example is going to sort of be very misleading because it depends on whether we're talking about wheat, which
we're talking about
wheat, grow, and we're talking about a period of over a season long, and
let's just talk
something
about
that might have a 2-week, manufacture to sell, which is probably not the case. But let's say we have a 2-week period between manufacture and sell, right? Because it's a just-in-time model. It might be fine for the just-in-time model with something electronic that's being manufactured, but it may not be. But it may be a problem for somebody who's, say, growing wheat over a longer period of time.
Because you can't store the wheat for that long.
Right, because the price that you end up selling it for is less than what it costs.
And then you go to the seeds, and the seeds have gone down in price. So even if you sell it at a lower price than you paid for it.
The problem is if you're losing money in the end.
You're not losing money in the end because you're able to then buy more.
Well, that depends on the rate at which deflation is occurring.
Right. If it keeps
we've already
deflating.
established that it's in proportion to everything else. So pick whatever rate you want if it all happens in proportion.
So I think maybe what you're saying is depending on the rate of inflation depending on the rate of deflation. You're right, and but also depending on the rate of deflation, he's got some point to be made here. Even though
producers don't produce to hold stock on something that's going to be lower in price later,
right? Which just means they won't be producing the product anymore. Which is why you can't have a rate of deflation that's too high, but you also don't want a rate of inflation either. Somewhere in between is going to be the more optimal.
So somewhere, some products might become obsolete, and you're right. Right, and you might lose out on that.
Food, wheat, you're gonna.
It's not going to become obsolete.
You're going to end up having starvation in the.
No, because they're not. They're going to sell it. They're going to grow it and sell it.
It depends.
I don't know.
It depends. Is this deflation stopping at a point? That's the part I think that's missing from this. Well,
people need to eat.
People do need to eat. But if I am, say, a producer of foods, and the deflation is just continually happening and I'm never making anything on, I'm just cutting even every time, like you said, because it's in proportion to everything, and I'm buying for less and then I'm selling it for what it was last time, right?
Yeah.
And so now I'm just cutting even every time.
Yeah.
And so if that keeps happening at that same rate, I'm just going to stop selling food and I'm going to feed myself.
And you know what happens in that case?
And then everyone's going to starve.
You know what happens in that case?
Right.
If you exit the market, right, the profitability or lack thereof that you had there will be then open to competition and someone will fill it.
So maybe if they can make money.
I think he does have a point here in that if there are fewer producers, the price that people will be paying for wheat is going to go up.
Yes.
And as a consequence, you may have inflation maybe in food.
It wouldn't be inflation.
Elsewhere.
It would just be a price adjustment in that one particular sector.
Okay, fair enough. That would be like free market. I mean, this is assuming free market economics too. So
I always assume that on this show.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay.
You can bring him back on.
Okay. Hi, Skeeter.
Oh my God!
Do we really want to bring him back on, guys?
Well, I muted him so we could get the example out.
No, you're doing it wrong, Rich. Well, both of you are doing it wrong, but some of you have some
doing
elements
it wrong.
That are right, so
I know how he loves to say you're doing it wrong, but he never actually gives us any kind of anything that we can actually work with. We at least have a conversation between ourselves, and we can kind of understand where each other's are.
Because his examples always
talking about and have some understanding of okay, I think we can agree on this to some degree, but he's we just can't agree on anything because he just goes rambles and rambles and rambles, and nobody can ever understand what he's saying, and it's just eventually you just got to cut him off and hit the dump button, and it's just
keep going.
No, you're not muted.
Okay, look, Penguin, inflation and deflation don't affect your real profits for any producer or stockholder, right? But Rich is trying, so that's what Rich is trying to say. But it does affect your nominal profit, but you're not really affected in real terms. Like if you still produce more than one unit, if you started with one, if
two
your
widgets,
real profit doesn't
2 grains of wheat
doesn't change. But
here's what I can tell you, man. None of us can have a conversation on air because of the complexity of the conversation that we're having, and particularly where anybody else listening can understand what any of us are trying to say.
I thought I did a pretty good job of simplifying.
I think so between us, but I don't necessarily know that the listener base is going to be able to comprehend what we were saying. Or
I don't care. I don't want to have this meta conversation. You're hijacking my call. You muted me for 5 minutes. Now you're talking about etiquette. I don't care.
All right, go for it. Go ahead. You got. I'm gonna be quiet, and you can talk.
Okay.
Hashtag doubt it.
So what you're missing is the hoarder. So Penguin is partially right. Deflation incentivizes people to hoard money. That means when you expect a deflation rate of whatever percent, right, you're not going to take on real profitable projects that are under that return. So if you expect a deflation rate of 10%, you're going to reject all projects under that return, which dampens
unless it's food.
The productivity of a growth of an economy.
You still got to buy food. People still need to eat.
Yeah.
The fact that that hoarders are going to hoard money.
That's irrelevant to my point. That's what I'm saying is that it dampens the growth of an economy, right? No matter if you still buy food or not, you reject profitable projects underneath the deflation rate.
Well, we've already established that if there's a limited number of producers, there's an exceptional amount of profit to be made because that particular area won't be affected by the hoarders.
But why take on a project when you can just sit on money and gain purchasing power off the productive?
Because the lack of producers means that there's a profit incentive in that sector.
I really don't think you guys he's completely off the wall with some of what he's trying to say. I mean, I don't know whether he's saying it right. I think he did make some mistakes in what he was saying, but it was he meant deflation when he said inflation at certain points, I think. But anyway,
no, he's he's advocating against a deflationary economy.
No, I understand he's advocating
in favor of an inflationary economy.
And I think he's got some points to that in that regard. But
because people still need to eat. You're not going to have a Scrooge McDuck money
and this
bin.
This is where I think, Rich, you have some points as well that are completely valid. And I don't think this is a conversation we can have over the air, as I was saying, because it's extraordinarily complicated. Depending on because again, it all depends on a bunch of different factors.
Find Penguin in the Matrix server, Skeeter.
Oh, please don't.
And go have the conversation off air. Like if there's always going to be some profit to be made. And some producer's going to take the risk and fill that. Like that's the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
If all the farms shut down because I'm just going to hoard my money, right? Then the price of wheat's going to go up, and someone's going to open their farm up to wheat, and they're going to capture that profit.
And it's never going to be just like you're saying. You still got to eat. It's never just going to be that. It's going to be all of the markets. People still going to want things. People want.
You're probably also going to have people switching to more sound currencies, right? Which is usually what happens in situations where deflation occurs.
In a deflationary economy, that's going to be the most sound currency because it's the one gaining purchasing power.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that.
If you want people to switch to the dollar, you start to deflate it, right? And then people don't switch away from it because it's the one with the purchasing power.
I feel like that also depends on what kind of governance you have, because if you're trying to switch to some other currency and say you live in a place where they don't want you to do that.
If you deflate, though, you also end up people stop investing in growing the food. So it does kind of
because the profit incentive grows as more producers leave.
But there may not be enough food to supply what would be the demand on the market. People would starve instead.
There will be because of the profit motive.
I don't necessarily know that's the case.
Well, you pay or you starve. Free Talk Live. More coming up.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. But what about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit Dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces a drawn-out wait for a leadership contest after potential rival Andy Burnham announced plans to return to Westminster. The Greater Manchester Mayor says he wants to stand in a by-election in northwest England. If he won it for the Labour Party, he could try to trigger a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer as an MP. Housing Secretary Steve Reed says Labour should be focusing on achievements rather than changing leaders like the previous Conservative government.
First quarter of this year, our economy grew faster than any of the other 7 biggest economies on the planet. That means next week the Chancellor can stand up and announce real help for families and businesses that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. But people aren't feeling that enough yet. So we need to focus more on how we get that change to be real in people's lives.
The US-China summit in Beijing has ended with a note of stability despite few details of progress on trade deals. US President Donald Trump called it an incredible visit, but tensions clearly remain over the issues of tariffs and Taiwan. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Donald Trump made lots of warm but somewhat vague responses to what had been achieved. He said it had been an incredible visit with fantastic trade deals and that lots of problems had been settled. He said that American farmers would be very happy with the deals. There's a possibility that China, he said, would buy billions of dollars of soybeans. On Boeing aircraft, he said China would buy 200 with a promise to buy a further 750. However, the two sides did not decide to extend the tariff truce due to run out at the end of this year. And on the issue of Taiwan, the US president said he would make a decision in the coming days on whether to sign off on a $14 billion arms package to the island, a move that will likely anger Beijing. But the summit has stabilised relations with no clear deterioration.
South Carolina's top court has overturned Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction. The disgraced lawyer was convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul in a case that captivated the nation. Murdaugh now faces retrial. Tony Waterman has more.
In a unanimous opinion, the South Carolina Supreme Court justices say Murdaugh was denied his right to a fair trial because a county court clerk had influenced jurors. They accuse Rebecca Hills of placing her fingers on the scales of justice after jurors testified that she suggested they not trust Murdaugh's testimony. State prosecutors had tried to argue that there was no evidence the comments changed the outcome of the trial. The top court has ordered a retrial, and Murdaugh will remain in jail until that happens.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. In the studio tonight is Lori,
Mr. Penguin,
and Richie Rich.
I almost kept you guys muted and censored you.
How
You probably
dare
should.
you?
I know. I had to keep you muted. Rumble in the studio. So this article, I would maybe want to get back into it, but unless you guys have something else you specifically want to talk about.
No. Is
Tonight?
it? No. Are we ignoring the caller?
I like
I'm
I
just
like
making my dump.
I love this article. It's a great story to bring in, and if there's more to it, let's keep going.
All right, first we're going to go to Sarah in New Mexico about not this or anything that we've talked about. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call. I
Watch, it'll be the
Or
one day she
having
wants to talk
our
about the story that we're talking
primary-
about.
Not a chance. She doesn't even listen.
I know.
Yeah, it's different. So our state, we're having our primary.
What is our state?
New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Okay, you got to start off with this.
New
What the state
Mexico.
is. This is a national or international radio program.
Not when you're as popular as Sarah is.
Yeah.
Everyone knows.
Her name is Sarah in New Mexico. That's her last name in New Mexico.
Well, you're right. I mean, well, the list. Well,
it goes without saying.
Yeah,
as they say.
Well, you know what's interesting about this election, this primary, it's an open first primary.
I don't know what that means.
We're going to let the Green Party, the Pink Party, but the Purple Party, the so-called independents,
But not the
we're gonna
Libertarians.
let them in
Of
on
course
this.
not.
Wait, what is the Pink Party?
You don't want to know.
Well, I just consider
Maybe
that
I do.
whatever they call it. Well, there's the Green Party, so you might as well have the blue and the green, the pink, purple.
Their mascot's a taco.
That's how
is that
I
like the
bring it
feminists
up,
or something?
that they're-
Maybe.
The Feminist Party. Their campaign is like men are bad.
Is the Pink Party mascot a taco by any chance?
Well, the independent party, whatever the independent party, aren't there like Ralph Nader? What you guys are what you call libertarians or something? They're
How is it that you've been listening to this show as long as you have, and you do not know that we're libertarians
or something,
right? Like,
yeah, yeah, that's a third party. But I figured out why they were doing this, why they're including them in, is because now since everybody's voting. That when one person gets the 51%, they're gonna win, and then we're gonna blow off to November, the final election.
Okay.
So they're gonna treat this as the final one vote election, since everybody's voting.
What?
You do
so
realize that with more
before-
candidates, you're less likely to have a single candidate breach that threshold.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So altogether, we got 2 in the Democrat and then 3 in the Republican. So the vote's going to get split up 5 ways.
Stupid Republicans.
Yeah, but
They're splitting their side 3 ways.
Wait, really?
Because they're gonna if you're a Republican
Why would
voter.
you not just run one?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And you get all the votes for
Then
the
you get all the
Republicans.
Republican votes.
Right, you're going to undermine if you break up your party. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Why do they do that kind of stuff? They're, the Republicans, they're not that stupid.
Well, I mean, it's not.
It's
I think it's ego. Okay, so actually, it's not stupid if it depends on how the voting system works, right? It's stupid how our systems work in the United States, but in other countries, this actually does make sense.
We're not in other countries. She is
I
in New
understand.
Mexico. We've already established that.
I'm just trying
and
to
the winner has to
clarify-
get 51% of the
I'm just
vote.
clarifying
New Mexico, not old Mexico.
That it can make sense in some places.
Yes.
But it does not make sense here.
And if we were in those places, I wouldn't say stupid Republicans, but like, oh, smart on the Republicans.
Right. Exactly. Yep,
that makes the most sense in this particular
Well, I mean,
place.
it's going against what's in our interests, or what might be in our interests, right? Like as libertarians, like a system that doesn't basically force you into the Republican or Democrat Party would result in theory, libertarians actually being able to get elected.
They might. If you run one libertarian and don't split the vote, you might actually beat the Republicans and the Democrats splitting their vote.
And like your best one, too.
Yeah.
Run like your best one.
Oh, man. They're about to figure that out in a week or so.
If you're if you're the third party, you could ask for Republican or a Democrat ballot. You get the choice of 2. So if you're a Democrat, you could only vote you have to vote in the Democrat. If you're a registered Republican, you have to vote in Republican.
Yeah.
That
For the
seems
primaries.
wrong.
For a primary?
Yeah.
Why?
Because if you're independent, she's saying you get both.
Okay.
So
Well, you could either
Yeah.
no, you don't get.
is it
both.
too
You
late
get
to change
pick
your
one
political
of both.
affiliation for voting?
You can,
No, you don't-
Can you just go change it
in New
free vote?
Hampshire, you could do exactly that. You can vote Republican. You can go, or at least you were able to switch to switch to a Democrat or Republican Party, and then immediately after, or just before, and then immediately after, switch back. to the
That
Libertarian
also
Party
seems wrong.
in order to be able to
Why?
vote on the
Because
Democrat or Republican Party.
because then as a
Ballot.
Democrat,
Primary ballot.
you switch to Republican, you go vote for all like the worst Republican candidate. That Republican wins the primary.
You don't get to tell me what to do.
No, fine. I'm talking strategy. You asked
That's
why, right? This is why. So all the Democrats will like switch to Republican, vote for
Yeah.
the weakest Republican candidate. He will win. They switch back to Democrat, vote for then you have a strong Democrat versus a weak Republican.
Dirty tricks, but if it's allowed, then
if
why
it's
not?
allowed,
It's an
yeah,
equal-
absolutely why
this
not?
is-
But that's-
this is what I always say.
This is why it shouldn't be allowed.
This is what I always say. It's an equal opportunity situation. It's just like the propaganda situation, and why I don't think we should censor anything and let Russian
I agree.
propaganda through.
No.
It's the same
I
reason.
agree.
It's an equal opportunity thing.
Look.
The U.S. gets to propagate elsewhere, and the Russians get to propagate elsewhere, and so does every other country.
Look,
I feel
even
like
if
we
it's-
should get rid of the safety tags on everything that says don't use your blow dryer in the bathtub.
Yes, please.
Because then if everything is forcing you to just be competent as a human being, then maybe people will become more
Fine.
competent.
But in this particular
And I'm
instance,
okay with everyone dying for a few
in
years
this
till we get
particular
there.
instance with the voting, even if it's
kills off the
equal,
stupid people. Right.
even if it's equal and both parties do the same thing, you end up with the two weakest candidates going up against each other.
Yeah, there's some truth to this, but
and you don't even get a good candidate on the ballot.
Are you going to get a good one anyway?
No, you're
Are
Not
any
from
of
our
them-
perspective, but from
Okay.
their perspective.
Well, then maybe everyone will be like, wow, all these choices are terrible. We'll stop doing this. So
And
yeah,
vote libertarian for the
That's
no, like
right.
never, still never going to happen.
Libertarian.
Democracy and governments, period, don't work. Let's
No.
get rid of them.
That's
That's
fair.
But
But I'm just talking about like their strategy from their perspective. It's dumb all the way around.
Well, wait a minute. But look at me. I'm a Democrat. I just
can't.
wanted to vote in my
Riley.
party. How many people are going to really switch over and switch back and all this? And,
Look, if it's allowed and you can sabotage the other side, you'd be foolish not to do it.
You know what we're forgetting about, guys, is that there's outside the libertarians doing this, there's not enough people willing to go through this process to actually ever have it be a problem.
It's true. People don't even look and see like who's
They
on
don't
there.
want-
They
People
just
don't
check
even come out
them
to
off.
want to win.
People don't even come out to vote. They don't know who they're voting for. It's
Right.
why libertarians in New Hampshire have been getting elected for the last 2 decades. It's because they don't know. Nobody knows who they're voting. No, the people, Republicans and Democrats, don't know who they're voting for.
Arya
And I'm
did the
talking about
best,
your
the
average,
best practice on that.
Right,
She
exactly.
lost.
I know, but
did.
she got
30% of the vote.
Right.
I
Sure.
mean,
because nobody knew who
of
they
the
were
vote
voting for.
as a Republican when you're coming out as an anti-cop, transvestite, something
Satanist.
anarchist,
Satanist.
Satanist.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's fantastic.
It was fantastic,
was
but like
great.
you can't call that a victory because she lost. It was like great PR.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not a victory that we said. It was that it proves that democracy doesn't work.
Right. It proves
Well,
the
you
point that
started the-
nobody knows what they're doing.
Right.
Well, the premise was started with that's how libertarians are winning in New Hampshire.
Oh no.
Well, no,
That's-
it is.
that's not- I mean-
it's because
Not
we
by
throw
losing.
up more ballots and more candidates than anybody else, and so people don't know who they're voting for, and so
Yeah.
because we throw out more candidates, we end up with more people getting elected on our side.
The only thing-
proportionately to the number of people, free staters in New Hampshire, we have less than 20,000. It's 1.4 million in the state. We shouldn't have a fourth of the House. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
The only thing I like about the libertarians winning in New Hampshire is that they're doing it surreptitiously by not running as libertarians. Like it proves the point that you have to fool the public.
It's not even surreptitiously. That's
You even
the
have to
crazy
fool
thing.
them? They don't read.
No, you put an R next to the name and like,
Right.
oh, I take this
but
guy.
that's not surreptitious. Look at
if
what,
you're a libertarian, you're
look
not a
at-
Republican.
Look at what look at
Due
Arya.
diligence.
Arya ran on the slogan and had signs up all over Keene that she is a transvestite Satanist, anti-cop, anti-law enforcement. She had like curse words in the name, and
Yes.
30% still voted for. Of the Republicans still voted for
Yes,
her.
and she lost.
It doesn't matter. The
It
point
does
is-
because we're talking about the
people
ones that are
don't
winning.
read.
The ones that are winning are not out libertarians and out Satanists and out anarchists.
She probably only lost
and
because
out
of like
transvestites.
she probably only lost because of like articles and people bringing it to attention.
They're pretending
If
to be
nobody said
Republicans
anything
in order
about
to
it,
win.
If nobody said anything about, if nobody
Right.
like crusaded against to let everyone know what was going on, she might have won. Who knows?
That's
'Cause
what I'm.
nobody
That's
pays
still my
attention.
point because I
this is
said
the-
they're doing it surreptitiously.
But
But
she
they got to
wasn't doing
hide all
it.
that.
Nobody's hiding it.
That's
Just nobody's
The ones that are
looking.
winning are hiding it.
No,
Are
that's
they?
not the case though. That's not the case. It's people don't basically they don't know who they're voting for in the first place.
Right.
They're just this is the problem with telling people to go vote.
hidden in plain sight.
You know, saying everybody should go vote. It's like if the people you're telling to go vote don't know who they're voting for, it doesn't help. It doesn't help with better outcomes.
Oh, no.
So if you're a Democrat in New Hampshire, just run as a Republican. You have a better chance of winning.
Yes,
Just hide it.
you don't even have to hide it. You can
Right.
run as a Republican and say you're a Democrat, and you will still have a better chance of winning. It's like
right.
Right.
I do with you. I talked to people. I talked to about 10, 15 people today, and all they ever knew about was the election day. Oh yeah, I know that school I go to. The open up the
Sarah,
school
are we
only
on
election day?
Are we on
Speakerphone.
speakerphone?
she's
I'm
too
not
close
on
to the phone, I think, or speaker, or the
Something.
microphone.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it back. Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm gonna hold it back. Do I sound better?
Much.
Yeah.
Much.
Remember where that is.
Yeah,
Every time you
so-
call, that's where you should hold the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I talked to people. It's like we have early voting next 2 weeks. We got 20 places open. They're talking about the election day. Don't you know people get their tires blowed out like an hour before the polls close? And this lady I managed because I scrambled around for an Uber. That's the only way she made it. It's like, what do you always, they just want you to vote on election day. They want some crisis to happen, so you blow your vote. And I'm like, and they're older people.
They
like,
sabotaged her
you
tire.
got 2 weeks. Open the vote, 20 places. And they're just clueless.
Are you saying somebody?
Right, they're clueless.
Are you saying somebody like went out and deliberately made her tire have a problem with so she couldn't get there?
No, all she knows is that everybody.
There should be a voting week
day.
Instead of just a day.
So then we have 2 weeks.
We should just do it on blockchain.
And then they all wait, and what happens is the tires blow out, and she called on the radio call show. I took an Uber down before the polls closed. This is the scenario of waiting on election day.
So how would you solve this?
Voting
Sarah?
should be done through the blockchain, and it should be transparent, and everyone should know who everyone else voted for. Ooh. There should be no anonymity.
So Lori's in favor of domestic violence.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe get behind something along to be able to prove that who voted for what.
Put that on political side.
I don't know about the necessarily having to like ID or know who voted for what, but at least know that the votes were
right. I don't mean
verifiable.
Like publish it or anything. I just mean like be able to track it.
No, right, and I think you could be able to track it without having being able to confirm the votes.
It could be like an anonymous number or whatever.
Yep. And you could publish that because then you could confirm at least your vote counted. You won't be able to solve every problem with that system, but you would at least be able to say, okay, at least my vote wasn't changed.
Right. Yeah. I want it to be able so that you can go and look and make sure that your vote was recorded as your vote, and they can't just be like, well, there was 20 votes for this guy and 40 votes for this guy. So, and there's no way to verify that actually happened.
So like in 1930s Germany, you want to sign all human beings a number.
And I want them to get it tattooed on themselves.
That would be a really interesting solution to the
final
voting problem.
solution.
You're going to get a number. And that's how we're going to track your vote, citizen.
We're not going to give you an ID. No IDs. We'll get rid of driver's licenses, but to vote, you're going to have an ID tattooed to your.
We'll take you there on these trains
yes,
to get your tattoo.
Everyone gets a shower before they vote.
That's right.
Well, can you tell me what other state lets the felons vote like New Mexico? Name one other state. I have no idea.
Don't almost all the states allow felons, ex-felons to vote?
When they come out of jail.
So. Yep, I think they just have to get reinstated after they are convicted and released. And they might require a certain amount of time between that and the getting on the ballot, or not on the ballot, but on the register again to vote.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, the thing is, we had that a time. You have to finish out your probation. You have to wait like a year. All this, it got so complicating. Our state says, okay, the day that you come out, we'll register you to vote at the state prison. I'm sure you have to.
See, I think everybody should be able to vote, including those in prison.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, but
why not? I don't think anyone should vote, but I think everyone should be allowed.
Well, I mean, yeah, to the degree that we have a system of voting, like I think prisoners, because if you think about it, like these people are the people who have been convicted of crimes that maybe shouldn't be crimes, but how do you change the law to the better if fix that if you don't allow the people you've criminalized to vote?
I found your answer, Sarah. Maine and Vermont, you never lose the right to vote at all.
Nice.
No matter what. And then automatically restored upon release is California, Colorado, Connecticut, Hawaii, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, Ohio, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Utah, and Washington.
So I have a question.
So which one's prevented then? That seems like it'd be a shorter list.
It's a shorter list.
Does Maine and Vermont allow you to vote while you're in prison or only after release?
I assume that it would. You can mail in vote while you are actively incarcerated in Maine and Vermont.
That is awesome. Yeah. That's what I want for New Hampshire.
Washington, D.C. says they also follow the policy, but they don't count because they're not a state.
All right.
So
there you go, Sarah.
Oh, wow. That is impressive. I really thought that our state was the only one, but I guess I kind of am, you know what, I'm in support of people that are inside of prison that are in good behavior. I mean, I think they have to earn that right.
Oh, no, that's terrible. Yeah. I think it's all the more important that people who are the most oppressed have the right to vote. So especially the people in the hole.
Yeah, whether or not you have good behavior, that is making people's rights a punitive issue. Like, oh, you didn't clean up the mess hall the way we wanted to, or
Right.
whatever their little jobs are. Now you can't vote. Like, that's ridiculous.
But what they banned, because like I was told that in smaller towns, if the criminals voted, like only for like 500 people, they could actually change city laws and so forth.
Great.
I think that's why they banned the
Murder is now
criminals from
legal
voting.
because they let the murderers vote.
That would never happen.
That's first of all, that's going to be at a state level. I don't think any state has it at a city level, but
No prison system has more murderers than anybody else in there.
Okay.
yeah,
They're still a minority of the prison population.
Yeah, most of the people in
They can
in
swing a
cages-
vote.
most
By murdering.
most of the people in cages are there because of drugs.
Yeah.
So some sort of drug crime.
Yeah.
Which is
nonviolent crimes.
There's that's the crazy thing. Like possession laws, literally, we should get rid of them, and we would save so much in taxes. It's just like, I mean, I would be in favor of getting rid of the laws, the possession laws, and then redirecting those funds. I'm not like,
It's heresy to Sarah. Who loves
I'm
laws.
sure, but like if we redirect, like I'm not like, I'd rather it be redirected to my pocket. Like, don't get me wrong, but like short of that, it's still better to redirect it towards like getting people off of drugs or solving their problems than it is for having them in cages. Like the whole caging thing doesn't help anything. Like it doesn't help at all.
Yeah, I don't want us to go to cages or getting people off of drugs.
Yeah, back in the pocket.
Personally, yeah, right back in the pocket.
Well, isn't it like kind of like a mental illness that people do drugs?
No.
Like they were abused or neglected or
Nope.
something, or
Not necessarily. In some instances, yes, but not necessarily.
No, that could be like the means of coping with it, but it's not a direct cause, or else everybody who's ever abused would be on drugs.
Yeah, but it's a Venn diagram. It's not a perfect
personal
circle.
it's a personal responsibility problem.
I was told that even
Which
drug
they don't teach in
addiction,
school. They don't
alcohol
teach that.
addiction,
Personal responsibility. We
it's
can't have that, guys.
hereditary. It's genetic.
It's not genetic.
It's genetic. If your parents were alcoholics, you have a tendency of being an alcoholic.
If your parents were alcoholics,
Yeah,
that
but-
vodka bottle will jump off the shelf, open itself up, and pour it down your throat.
Look, if you're an alcoholic and you're born with like fetal alcohol syndrome, right? They got to wean you off of that because you're addicted to alcohol as a baby, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
So same with like, cocaine or whatever, right? If the baby comes out with a chemical addiction, it's hard to say that it's a personal choice issue.
I'm not saying babies are junkies, babies who are born to drug addicted parents.
Yeah, they come out with a
I don't
chemical
think that those
addiction.
babies made flawed
Okay.
choices.
But they come out with a
once
chemical
they
addiction to the drugs.
Okay, so once you become like an independent human being who makes their own choices and stuff, and not a newborn who literally can't do anything,
Yeah.
and then you choose to still do drugs
Because
that
you're
is a
chemically
personal-
addicted since you were a baby.
That is a person. You are
Well, hold
no
on.
way.
That's
no
a little
way.
that's a little bit of an exaggeration, right? Because at some point between when you come out and the time in which you can actually make decisions for yourself in that regard, you've been weaned off
That's
that
right.
substance
Right.
by that point. So it's a choice as
You
to
would
whether
think,
or not.
but adults who did, oh man, what's the drug? I forget. The one with the methadone.
No, I don't know.
Whatever they go to the methadone clinic for,
Mhm.
right? They have a permanent chemical addiction.
I think that's heroin, right?
Okay, fine. People who've done heroin, right? They can't, there's no weaning off. They just have to take like non-addictive heroin for the rest of their life.
They don't have to. They choose
is
to.
that the case?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
We got disagreement here.
It's not the case. They choose to because they don't want to go through withdrawals.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's not the case. You are not
So you
literally
can
dependent.
get off of it. It's just some people
They don't wanna be
rather not.
uncomfortable.
You could die by going through the withdrawals.
You cannot die by
No,
going
no,
through
because
withdrawals from methadone
that's
because
not-
you taper down.
Yeah, that's not how it works. You taper right, exactly. You taper down so that you don't die.
They just don't want to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Nobody wants to be uncomfortable in this world anymore. Everything is all about my personal security and comfort.
You get a chemical addiction,
Uh-huh.
and then in order to get, you can't get off of it.
You can't.
And so they
You
give
get
you
on
like
methadone.
Suboxone
You
or
can.
whatever.
It just sucks to
And
get
then you
off.
taper down off the methadone or Suboxone or wherever you're on until you are no longer taking any chemicals.
You know what's funny is
that would be true if people were off Suboxone
I-
and methadone, but they're not.
They choose not to be.
I get it. Like
Because there's a
get-
chemical addiction. They
Oh my
can't
gosh.
get off.
Oh my god. Yes, but that's why you wean yourself off
Right.
over time,
Look,
so it's less.
they're
it's
not
less
getting
painful.
a high. They're not getting a high.
Right, but they don't want to
off
be
of it.
uncomfortable.
Right. Right.
But if you're weaning yourself off, like you said, using the Suboxone or the methadone, right, there would be no discomfort. You would just wean yourself off.
No.
But
You
they
still
don't.
have to adjust.
Yeah, you still have to adjust. It's still going to cause.
It's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
But you still have to adjust to not having that.
If I understand correctly, it's just you're not getting high when you take the method. What's it called?
Methadone.
Methadone. Yeah. When you take the methadone, you're not getting high, but it's still uncomfortable as you wean yourself off of it.
Right. Because
So,
it's
But
satiating
people
that-
don't wean themselves off. They just have a lifetime supply of it at the clinic.
I get it, but it's
satiating the
still
addiction
a choice.
centers in your mind when you take the methadone.
It's still a choice. I once got off. I was on something where I was supposed to weed myself off, and I didn't. I went cold turkey, and I didn't realize that that wasn't the way I was supposed to come off. So I totally understand this, like why you wean yourself off.
Right.
It's like it's not like I wasn't in pain. I was very in my case I was very agitated or so I could anything anybody says would just really get to me.
Right.
Whereas it wouldn't otherwise normally.
What were you on?
Some sort of painkiller, I believe it was. And so when I went off of it,
Percocets, Oxy, Vicodin?
It might have been maybe Oxy.
Okay.
Why are you so interested?
But anyway,
because I asked my addicted friend, like, what should I get addicted to? And they said 10 milligram Oxy.
I wouldn't say I was addicted to it, but like it took, I should have weaned myself off over time, but I didn't, nobody ever told me that I needed to wean myself off. And at the time I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And so I just stopped because I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't need it anymore. And so it was really, and I was going through this, I didn't know, I didn't realize that, I should have weaned myself off of it.
Mm-hmm. That's because, the methadone stops that from happening. It stops that addiction center from lighting up in your brain. And so you can just not do the thing and have no uncomfortable feelings. But if you take the methadone and you slowly taper down, you're going to feel slightly uncomfortable during this process, but people don't want to do it and they're getting the methadone for free. So why not just keep doing it? They're just going and the government's handing them methadone out of everyone else's pocket. So why not just keep doing it for the rest of your life? And then you never have to be uncomfortable.
Because there's the chemical addiction.
Chemical addiction does not last forever because once there is a half-life of things inside of your body, it doesn't stay in there for the rest of your life. So you can't have a chemical dependency.
Unless you keep on the methadone.
Unless you keep taking it.
Which is why you don't do that. So you wean yourself off the methadone.
Right. You're chemically dependent to the methadone. So if you slowly taper off, you're eventually not going to have a chemical dependency upon this thing anymore. And you're going to be clean of all chemicals.
All right. They
just don't want to.
If you say so.
I do. Thanks for the call, Sarah. She was still there. I forgot. So I am a little surprised that there are more states, back to what she was talking about, more states that allow you to keep your voting rights after you get out of prison. Because I feel like that wasn't always the case.
Oh, no.
Is this a recent thing where they have been...
I think it's been gotten better over the decades.
Is Florida on the list of no?
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Florida is one of the worst states.
Why is Florida not mentioned anywhere? Florida's not real.
Well, because the only connection I have to this is Mark, I thought, had to go fight to get his voting rights reinstated.
Additional government action, individual petition. Okay. Florida is an individual petition. You have to petition for them back.
That's why I was thinking of Mark's case.
Yeah. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
But first, our parenting expert, Rebecca McCallum, is here with some advice.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rebecca. Now, Rebecca runs a popular parenting blog called Mom Magic.
That's right. It's about the everyday parenting choices that could make a big difference on our children.
Rebecca, I read the blog a lot. My first question is, who the hell do you think you are telling me how to raise my kids?
I have a degree in early childhood education, but my greatest education has been raising 3 beautiful kids of my own.
Okay, Rebecca, what other bullshit do you have the nerve to share with us this morning?
I talk about this in my book, and it does take a lot of effort, but parents really should teach their child a second language. My daughter Hazel and I are learning French together.
Wow, I'll bet a lot of moms watching right now are thinking, you.
Well, I get that a lot, but the window during which language acquisition skills are at their peak is really very small.
I wish I had done that. You win, but guess what I just remembered? You're not my boss.
This is the Onion News Network.
Eleutheromania, the insatiable desire for freedom. It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces a drawn-out wait for a leadership contest after potential rival Andy Burnham announced plans to return to Westminster. The Greater Manchester Mayor says he wants to stand in a by-election in northwest England. If he won it for the Labour Party, he could try to trigger a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer as an MP. Housing Secretary Steve Reed says Labour should be focusing on achievements rather than changing leaders like the previous Conservative government.
First quarter of this year, our economy grew faster than any of the other 7 biggest economies on the planet. That means next week the Chancellor can stand up and announce real help for families and businesses that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. But people aren't feeling that enough yet. So we need to focus more on how we get that change to be real in people's lives. We don't need to be talking to each other in the ways that the Tories did.
The US-China summit in Beijing has ended with a note of stability despite few details of progress on trade deals. US President Donald Trump called it an incredible visit, but tensions clearly remain over the issues of tariffs and Taiwan. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Donald Trump made lots of warm but somewhat vague responses to what had been achieved. He said it had been an incredible visit with fantastic trade deals and that lots of problems had been settled. He said that American farmers would be very happy with the deals. There's a possibility that China, he said, would buy billions of dollars of soybeans. On Boeing aircraft, he said China would buy 200 with a promise to buy a further 750. However, the two sides did not decide to extend the tariff truce due to run out at the end of this year. And on the issue of Taiwan, the US president said he would make a decision in the coming days on whether to sign off on a $14 billion arms package to the island, a move that will likely anger Beijing. But the summit has stabilised relations with no clear deterioration.
South Carolina's top court has overturned Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction. The disgraced lawyer was convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul in a case that captivated the nation. Murdaugh now faces retrial. Tony Waterman has more.
In a unanimous opinion, the South Carolina Supreme Court justices say Murdaugh was denied his right to a fair trial because a county court clerk had influenced jurors. They accuse Rebecca Hills of placing her fingers on the scales of justice after jurors testified that she suggested they not trust Murdaugh's testimony. State prosecutors had tried to argue that there was no evidence the comments changed the outcome of the trial. The top court has ordered a retrial, and Murdaugh will remain in jail until that happens.
Differences between the UAE and Iran spilled into the BRICS foreign ministers' meeting, with Tehran accusing Abu Dhabi of participating in strikes against it. These differences, analysts say, could complicate BRICS chair India's efforts to issue a joint statement at the end of the meeting on Friday. Foreign ministers of the bloc, that includes India, Iran, UAE, Russia and China, among others, have been meeting in New Delhi. Ishan Garg tells us more.
To end this session with a joint statement is certainly going to be hard because we haven't seen a joint statement from the BRICS grouping since the war in Iran started. There was another meeting of Deputy Prime Minister which ended with a chair summary of the meetings without a joint communique, which is diplomatic speak for essentially saying that the bloc couldn't agree on common language. And the common language that is in question is how to describe the war in Iran. Now, Iran, which is a member of the BRICS grouping, wants in the joint communique to be strong condemnation of US and Israeli strikes on its own territory, while on the other hand you have UAE, which wants to call Iran the aggressor of this conflict. India is finding itself in a delicate position where it has to balance not only the two BRICS members, UAE and Iran, but it also has to balance its own close ties with Washington and Tel Aviv.
And finally, World Football's governing body has revealed who will perform at the World Cup halftime show in New Jersey this coming July, with less than a month until the tournament begins. Shakira, Madonna and K-pop group BTS are set to perform during the halftime break of the FIFA World Cup final on July 19 at MetLife Stadium, with a performance being put together by Chris Martin of Coldplay. The show is likely to mirror a Super Bowl halftime show, with FIFA's president saying this will be a historic moment for the FIFA World Cup and a show befitting the biggest sporting event in the world. From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
I know I shouldn't, but these muffins are delicious.
And we'll share our favorite recipes later in the hour, but first our guest says don't give in to road rage. Stay calm behind the wheel and coolly plot your road revenge. Danny Preston is a defensive driving instructor who teaches people how to control their temper behind the wheel. Welcome, Danny.
Thanks for having me. Danny, there's nothing I hate more than getting cut off.
That drives me nuts. I want to scream out my window.
Getting into an argument with a stranger isn't going to accomplish anything but stress you out. Well, how should you respond instead? In 1996, some guy gave me the middle finger after I cut him off. I recognized him from TV. That's when I decided to become a defensive driving instructor, developing the skills I needed to eventually be invited on his show as an expert. Now, once you're there, it's just a simple matter of switching out his muffins with the ones you made yourself. How many did you eat? What? I don't know.
Thank you so much for sharing your tips, Danny.
Danny is not my true name.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in 603-283-6160. I'd like to thank Jack for being an amplifier here with us at Free Talk Live. That means that Jack went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to Jack and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. Tonight in the studio is Lori,
Mr. Penguin,
and Richie Rich.
So we were talking a
long time ago.
Yeah, the last two segments here and there about Utah wants to hold websites responsible for users who use VPNs to get around age verification and why this is a problem. So this article from Tom's Hardware goes on to say, the law is also technically flawed, given that it assumes that a web provider can reliably detect VPN traffic and determine a user's true physical location. They can't. IP reputation databases such as MaxMind and IP2 Proxy can flag traffic from known data center IP ranges, but commercial VPN providers rotate addresses constantly, and residential VPN endpoints are largely indistinguishable from standard home connections, which is what Penguin said.
Yep. Right. And here's the thing to point out, this is not that common right now. So like, even if they can do this right now, for the most part, in a couple of years from now, once this becomes more widespread, VPN providers aren't going to be exiting you from data centers. They'll be exiting you from residential ISPs so that this doesn't work anymore, this is such a stupid law.
Mm-hmm. Because the people who make the law have no idea what they're talking about, just like all the other laws.
That's a truism.
Yeah. They don't know the ins and outs of any industry that they're making these laws about, and so they just make up laws that don't make any sense.
You know, the funny part is
and
that even the ID laws don't work. Even if you would ID everybody, they don't work because it's so easy to fake being an adult in quotes. Drawing a fake mustache on you, and letting the software just lets you in. There's people using aviators, like characters in online games.
People using cartoons.
They are using VPNs, but that's just one of the other methods that people are using to get around it, because the laws because they're state by state and country by country. All you got to do is go through a country that does not have said laws, and then there is no ID verification.
Look, they're going to pass the laws, right? The companies who are going to be responsible for this are going to do whatever they can to comply with the law, right? They're going to be found in violation of the law at some point.
Yep.
They're going to get standing in court, and then something's going to happen, right? But the people making the laws, they don't care. They just know what the end goal is, and then it's the companies who need to comply.
If we back up a second,
figure out how to comply.
The thing is, this is all unconstitutional under U.S. law. We already know this because literally we've had this same bill or something almost identical to it pass 4 or 5 times in the 90s and early 2000s, and every time the U.S. Supreme Court struck it down. And not only did they strike it down, the later some of the later bills were literally copies of prior bills. Because they just passed them again under a different name at the top.
Well, then don't worry
But they were identical bills. So like they got struck, and literally the only rational reason for doing that would be to say to the courts, we don't agree with your, prohibiting us like on this. And there was like, it had end up having no effect.
I mean, they overturned Roe versus Wade, right? So you take it up again. And
well,
see what
and this
they
is
say.
the concern that I have, is that because of the change in the Supreme Court, that we may end up with a different outcome this time around. So it could end up getting worse, and
by more people who don't know what they're talking about.
Right, all because of stupidity.
The presumption is if you're going to take this to the Supreme Court, the people arguing, against it are going to be like, the EFF or the ACLU.
Yep.
Right. They're going to have those representatives there, and they should be able to make a strong case, especially with past precedent.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's already unconstitutional, all you have to do is wait for a company to have standing. Right.
Well,
and then they'll win up at the Supreme Court.
Here's another problem here. Because it burdens the website operator, it does mean, and because we've also had consolidation and effective monopolies on a lot of this stuff nowadays, it does make it much harder in the sense that none of the big guys are going to probably take this up because they see it as being in their interest. And the reason they see it as in their interest is because it stomps out any kind of startup competition. It's a barrier to entry into the market that they dominate.
It would only be a barrier to entry if they planned on complying.
Right, but that's the thing. They are. I think most of these big companies are planning to comply because a little guy, a little company isn't going to be able to afford to jump through all of these hoops of verifying each of these users. And so the big companies are just going to say, "Oh yeah, we'll do that because we can," and then we'll ensure that by doing so, no startup is going to be able to compete with them because they're not going to be able to afford to implement the systems to ID every one of their users.
I mean, that sounds like a sound argument. If not 10 minutes ago, you were saying it would have been impossible for these companies to comply, as also stated in the article.
Well, this says the only detection method that reliably identifies VPN protocol signatures is a deep packet inspection, which analyzes traffic at the network level, not system or app level. China's Great Firewall and Russia's
that doesn't work.
TSPU system deploy DPI via ISPs, but a website operator can't because it requires access to network infrastructure that sits between the user and the server, not on the server itself. Meanwhile, setting up a personal WireGuard instance on any major cloud provider takes minutes, meaning the law will be more likely to negatively impact non-technical users who rely on commercial VPN services for legitimate privacy, journalists, people living under authoritarian regimes, political dissidents, and abuse survivors, among others.
So people in Utah.
You know what? Yes. And the crazy thing about this is definitely an authoritarian, law, and it's literally, and the excuses that they're using to pass this, besides protect the children, are piracy, and basically they're literally copying what Putin is doing, and Putin's propaganda is basically one of the reasons or excuses they're using to pass this, not this specific law here, but in Latvia, I think it is. It's
Latvia.
Latvia, that's it.
Queen Latvia.
That's one of the things that they're using to basically argue for basically an equivalent of this law.
Is it working in Latvia?
Bill there. Well, okay, so
Latvia,
Latvia, I can't pronounce it. Anyway,
that L country.
Yes, so they already did this actually. I believe it is, or I'm trying to think. Maybe was it this specifically, or was it? So I know they're censoring the propaganda. So, but they're also using piracy as an excuse for it, and I'm not sure it's actually exactly the same thing. It's similar though. It has to do with censorship. It's just I don't know about the IDing of the kids specifically. Or the VPN part of this, but it's very similar in the sense that they're using this type.
So there's proven success for doing this type of thing in other countries.
No. So the UK, they've done something like this, and it has not worked. I believe Australia also did this more specifically with the VPN stuff, and it did not work either. There.
Are any parents actually wanting these protect the children laws?
No, that's
or is
the
it
other
all
thing.
just virtue signaling?
I think
from the government?
the statistics show 30% of the parents actually are like against it or something to that effect, or they're helping their kids actually evade the filters or something to that effect, which I find humorous.
Yeah.
And then like something like 40% like don't care, and then like I don't know, like what does that leave you with 30% that maybe do or something?
Okay.
So like
minority.
You literally have a minority that are in support of this.
So then why? This is just virtue signaling
It
from the
is.
government. To
Yeah,
protect the children.
it's political propaganda to cater to a minority of parents.
Yeah, like the
Or a
government
revenue
should
generator.
or a revenue generator, right? Or a data farming instrument.
Yep.
The government should have no hand in any type of parenting decisions anyone makes with their kids, including what websites they can access. If you want your kid to have unfettered access to the internet, it's probably a terrible idea, but they're your kid. And you are the one implementing the rules in your home.
And here's the thing: like, this is also kind of ridiculous because of the ages that we're talking about here, too, right? Like,
Maybe.
so we're using the
Kids
word
are getting, like-
we're using the word kid, but what are we talking about? We're talking about people like between the ages of 13 and 18, which is
Maybe.
absurd because these are
Depends.
not little kids that like
Little
need some
kids
sort of
now.
protection from
13 through 18 are the ones looking for porn
Well,
on the
I know,
internet.
right?
Even
Like, and
younger
you're-
kids, though, like
They
little
might
kids,
find it. I don't
they
think
might
they're.
find
I don't
it.
think they're looking for it.
They're not
I guess it all
looking for
depends.
but
It depends.
Well,
7-year-olds like out there trying to find.
It depends on when you
porn
go through
site?
puberty, I guess.
It does. It
But
does.
this is a male perspective. Men go through puberty later than women.
Are you saying
It
that
does.
a female
Women go through puberty-
7-year-old is looking for?
Women start their period as early as 8 years
well, hold
old.
on, back up a
Okay.
second. Just because you haven't hit puberty doesn't necessarily mean you're not curious about
Right.
like this kind of thing
You never,
necessarily.
like-
So
You never with like a neighbor kid when you were a little kid, like, hey.
I
what
mean,
you
we
got?
found the
Like,
Playboy,
let
but
me
it
see.
didn't do anything, so it wasn't a big
Obviously.
deal until later.
Right,
obviously,
but you were
Till it did something.
you weren't interested in looking at it. You weren't like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to look at it.
No, I looked at it.
Okay,
again,
so then,
but it
maybe-
didn't do anything.
No, it
Didn't do anything.
obviously. Which
Well,
also
so who cares?
goes back to
It had
why
no
does
effect.
But it's not
why do
only
we
just-
care?
it's
It
not
didn't
only-
make me a porn addict by 9.
Which kind of goes back to why do we care at all if little kids are seeing naked people?
So,
like,
but it's
Because
not
I don't
only,
think they're going after it.
it's not
well,
only
they're not
nudity.
going after. So what's the problem?
Well, listen, it's
I
not
was-
only nudity. It's not only nudity. Everybody's brain automatically goes to nudity. It's not the only thing that like you don't want your kids to see on the internet.
Right.
There's also a lot of
And-
terrible, corrupt.
But that's not
things
what we're
on the
talking
internet.
about. We're talking about this is being proposed because of basically naked people.
This is being proposed for any website that has age verification, which is like Facebook too has age verification, which has
Or-
no naked people.
Or
You cannot-
Budweiser, alcohol.
You cannot. Right.
You got to click the I'm over
Alcohol.
21 button.
Okay,
Right.
so maybe not just naked people, but for
So it's
like
not just naked people.
But
So there
either
are other
way-
things that people don't want their kids to access.
Right.
Is all I'm saying. But I don't want the government to do this for me. I will parent my own children.
That's fine. But
You
like
know.
having seen it at like 7 or 8 or however young, it wasn't because like I was with 7 or 8-year-olds and we were like hunting it down.
No.
It was because elder children, right, within
Right.
that range went, hey, look what we found, kid. Right?
It's
And they
not
go,
even-
oh, look at this.
I don't even think that's that big of a deal. Like if a kid sees nudity,
Yeah, 'cause it didn't do
it's-
anything.
It's not even like that mind warping. Some other things might be like extreme violence. That's not great for kids,
Okay.
you know, or
Don't let them play Grand Theft Auto.
no, like I don't know. Don't let them watch videos of people being blown up in Gaza. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is not.
I don't
good
think they
for,
come across it.
for kids.
I mean,
Who knows? If they have unfettered access to
only
the
thing-
internet, they might be coming
The
across
only thing
it.
I can think of that
Do you remember
like,
there was a point in time where all the YouTube videos and stuff were having like these pop-up ads of like atrocities
Okay.
on them. You don't remember that?
I'm not sure what you're
At
referencing.
the beginning of the Israel-Gaza conflict, you'd like go watch a YouTube video, and in the beginning of the video, there would be like ads about an ad. It would be an ad that
Okay.
you couldn't skip for a certain amount of time. And it
So
would
they
be
sat
like,
down to watch Peppa Pig and
Yeah.
they were blasted with an ad about kids getting blown up
Yes.
in Gaza. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So like maybe you do want to not give your little kids unfettered access to the internet. If you
Okay.
do
Maybe.
and you don't care,
Maybe
then that's
I don't,
fine.
So I don't know about that. The only thing I could think of that like I would maybe I don't know if the word concerned would really even be that. I don't even know if I would be that concerned. But the kind of thing that I'm thinking of that like maybe I would be like, I wouldn't want my kid to see. Okay, I don't have any kids, but if I had a kid, it might be like some sort of like horror type movie because that's going to give them nightmares, right? And I can
Right.
understand that being like really annoying that your kid's waking up and waking you up in the middle of the night. Like I could see
and
that.
also they're traumatized.
Right.
I don't think they're seeking that out.
But the thing is, like, that's the kind of thing that's going to go away. You give it a day or two, and they're going to stop having nightmares.
Maybe.
I mean, give it a week, and they will.
Maybe. My
I mean-
daughter had a dream that she swallowed glitter and it made her sick, and now she doesn't want to play with glitter anymore. This has been going on for months. Like
I've only
kids'
had-
brains are very.
I've only had one
interesting.
nightmare and it was Howard the Duck.
Yeah,
they let me watch that movie.
I can't imagine that had to do with any kind of like movie that she saw or TV content, right? So
no, but like if you see something like that, it could, legitimately.
She's got PTSD if an ad for glitter comes on.
But like if you see some kind of extreme horror, or like some of these movies are really gory, or like some war propaganda.
I mean, I can only speak from personal experience of watching like alien movies, like some pretty scary kind of stuff when I was little, and I realized very quickly, like, okay, like I'm gonna start to go back on that because it's like, okay, that
Opposite.
was like it, but it's not like it wasn't. I mean, I was old enough where it was like it was totally on me, and
I was a little kid allowed to watch whatever I wanted, and I watched like Freddy and Jason and Mike Myers and like all of it.
You went put on Halloween,
and I was
Mom.
like Halloween is now my favorite holiday, and like I'm totally
that
into,
was
like,
never an issue for me.
music.
It was the alien stuff, right? Like that's the thing that was like.
And now I'm not
face huggers.
And I liked the alien stuff. It's just that like I was like, you know what? This is just it wasn't scary like while you're watching it, but like once shut the lights off and everything, it's like that's when it kind of got a little scary. And it was like, but give it a couple days and like you just stop watching those videos and like the problem goes away.
I was adversely affected because now I'm not scared by horror movies, which is sad to me.
So that kind of suggests, but that that kind of suggests we should be exposing our kids to scary content because then it's gonna
might affect somebody else differently.
Yeah, it desensitizes, right?
Maybe some people watch a horror movie when they're a kid and now they're terrified of horror movies and they can't watch them because they cry.
I don't think you should be like.
I think it's a personal, individual choice on like how resilient your child is.
I don't think you should be like necessarily like putting on horror movies for your kid, but like again and again and again if they're afraid. But like
I think atmosphere matters.
Yeah, I mean, but the idea that like we should be like protecting kids like to the like protecting in quotes because I don't think this is really protecting anyone, but. It's to the degree you're gonna be protecting, kids. Like it should be like against real threats, not these imaginary ones that parents have.
I think that it all depends on the individual parent and the individual child because not every person is the same. Not every person has the same amount of resiliency. And I don't think that it's my place to tell someone that they should let their kid have unfettered access to the internet, or they shouldn't. And it's totally fine.
But
either
why?
way that they choose.
Here's the question: why would a kid, if they're being scared by something, why would
kids are weird.
Why would they then continue to be like, oh, I'm going to keep watching this, right? Like,
because kids are weird. The same reason kids climb trees, fall out, break their arm, and then climb a tree again.
Look, when I bought my son an Xbox, I told him to lie about the age thing so that I wouldn't have to activate everything with the parental.
I think the answer to that is because the cost was not sufficient to warrant stop climbing trees, and they had fun climbing trees. Right. I mean, I don't necessarily think there's a problem. Like kids do some of the same things adults do, right? Like it's not like it somehow changes over time as we grow older. I mean, a lot of these kids, there's a lot of adults that are more responsible than like a lot of 7-year-olds.
I don't know if being desensitized is a good thing though. Like, is that a good thing in your life? That I'm not afraid of horror movies, or if someone got their arm chopped off in front of me, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's
that's it.
I don't think it's like
I would say it's a better thing.
Is it?
Personally, yes.
Yeah, I think desensitization is probably sort of a good thing in some respect.
Maybe.
But like
you don't want to be freaking out in a medical emergency.
I think it depends on the constitution of the person. What if you are a psychopath? Now desensitization.
You're talking about a very small percentage
of a psychopath because you already are, but
you're talking about a very small percentage of the population, and that content didn't make you a psychopath.
Right,
so
which is why it is an individual.
They pulled the wings off the flies.
It depends on the kid and the resilience of the kid on what.
If you think your kid's a psychopath, okay, maybe you don't want to show them horror movies. But like, I don't think we can live as as a society. I don't think we can live assuming that every kid is a psychopath, right?
No.
Like, I think that's a really bad,
But you also shouldn't.
You can identify tendencies early, though.
But you also should.
Sure, and then maybe you want to watch and
that's
try
what I'm saying.
Direct the kid towards non-horror movies, right? But I get that. But that's like
you also shouldn't assume that every kid is not going to be affected by these things, though, and that's why it should be an individual problem that each parent makes on their own.
Right. I mean, you said you sought out horror movies at a young age.
Yeah,
fine.
I was totally allowed because my parents didn't care. They didn't know what I was doing ever.
I kind of, what's funny is when I was little, like not a problem. But as I got older, like my they started going with like they had these campaigns in the 80s or early mid 90s maybe. It wasn't until I was like a teenager that they were like, you can't watch R-rated movies, and I just thought it was funny because it's like I've been growing up watching R-rated movies, and it's like why is it a problem now just because propaganda is coming out telling you I shouldn't be like I just always thought it was so hilarious. It's like because literally parents are doing it because there's some small group of parents who like don't like it, and then the entertainment industry cartels like push like propaganda campaigns, and then other parents, start realizing, oh, they should be like not letting their kid watch certain stuff, and it's like
the scale of acceptability also moved.
It did.
Like there were G movies back in the day. They'd be like, wow, general audience, and then it would be PG or PG-13 in the modern world.
Mm. So also the nudity thing, like I don't think nudity itself is offensive or something that children should be shielded from. Nudity is perfectly natural. But like when you get further into things, there are some things that maybe little kids, might damage their psyche and cause
I get
problems.
it. I get it. You don't want your kid to see stuff films, right?
Right. They shouldn't be seeing snuff films. They shouldn't be seeing.
Why not? It's just as good as a good horror movie. An arm getting cut off in special effects is just as good as an arm getting cut off.
I wouldn't let my little kids watch a horror movie either.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to be,
I don't think it makes that much of a difference either way. Kids are pretty resilient at the end of the day. I mean,
some are.
Cannibal Holocaust.
Right. 1,000 Ways to Die or whatever it's called. Faces of Death. Like, I'm not going to show my kids Faces of Death. That's just the wrong parenting choice, in my opinion.
I think there's some.
Let me tell you something about.
There's some level of like, I get it. Like, there's some pretty crazy stuff out there I've seen, but like 99% of it is like the R-rated films. I would have no problem. I don't think
Faces of Death is fake, and
I'm sure.
And I'll share like the most prominent example I could think of, right? Or one of the two is fake. We were watching like cop videos or whatever on TV after school, and they showed like a video, and it was like a accident at an intersection, and they went like, luckily everyone survived. Right, and then we saw the same video on Faces of Death, and like everyone was murdered. It was like the same accident, like everyone died and got their face splattered. I'm like, oh, which one do you believe?
So
it's the same accident.
You don't have Faces of Death anymore because we have the internet. So now people individually go into things like Reddit, watch people die, r/watch people die.
Sure,
and it's literally.
Or what was it before?
Videos
Live Leak?
Watching people die. Or there's like war videos. There's a subreddit for war videos of people getting blown up and like.
Yeah.
That's just not stuff that I think that little kids' brains are capable of processing properly. And so I don't expose my kids to such things.
Also fine.
But if you had a kid and you were like, my kid can totally process this, and you showed it to them, I would be like, questionable in my opinion, but that's your business.
Again, I'm not saying you should show it to them. What I'm saying is like I don't think at certain ages they're seeking it out.
There's it depends on what we're talking about. We're talking about horror movies or we're talking about like porn.
It depends. Especially kids who have like abusive histories in their past.
Yeah.
Sometimes they seek stuff out like that.
But there's a difference between shielding your kid from something and like not handing it to them, right? Like like I'm not going to necessarily hand my kid a horror movie that's going to give them nightmares, but at the same time I'm not going to tell them they can't watch it, right? Like there's a difference. There's a line there, right?
When he was younger, I was going to like hand my son a razor blade because he wanted to cut off a wart. And I'm not the guy to like stop you from doing this, man. Like if you want to go through with this, I'll sterilize the blade. I'll get the towel and the Band-Aid ready. Like, you figure this out.
I probably wouldn't go there only because I'd be concerned about the, being put in handcuffs, but
I don't care.
My kid taken away.
I would be concerned about like my kid getting an infection because they didn't do it right.
Sure. But I was going to supervise, but he chickened out. Right, like wanted to talk a big game. If they wanted me to
do it, then I might be like, okay, let's do this the right way.
Again, what's gonna if you want to remove
depends
the
on how
wart,
old they are too.
They're gonna.
If it was my boyfriend, I'd help. But like, if it was like my kid, like Child Protective Services, they take those kids away from you, and I probably wouldn't want to lose my kid.
But like, if you go to the doctor to get it lanced off, they're just going to sterilize the razor blade and cut it off.
There's truth to this.
It's the same procedure. So like, who cares?
Why would you not just go get one of those freeze-off pens?
Because he wanted to cut it off.
All right. How old was he?
10.
That's probably fine.
But he chickened out.
But if he's like
his body, his problem, or not his body, his problem. It's his body, his choice.
Yeah, like you can get the freeze thing, right? You can go to the doctor, and the doctor's just gonna numb you and cut it off.
But if they're like 4 or 5, there's no way I'm even letting you touch a razor blade.
4 or 5, you can't even articulate what you want to do.
What are you talking about? Yes, you can.
Yeah,
my
kid's been talking since they were 1-year-old.
You think your kid's gonna say like, "I want to cut this wart off with a razor blade"?
Yeah.
Okay.
A 4 or 5-year-old, absolutely. They can hold a whole entire human conversation.
Yeah,
I don't think they have those thoughts going through their head. Unless you've exposed them to it.
Yeah, they can think. I mean, kids are not incapable of thinking just because you can't understand them.
Right.
I don't think they have those thoughts.
I think that's an
think you're
individual
wrong.
thing. I think
You
kids
think,
do.
you think 5-year-olds are like, oh, I really want to use a razor blade to cut myself at 5?
If they have a wart, they might be like, I hate this and I want to cut it off.
Okay.
I mean,
let them try.
No.
There's two different things.
Sterilize
right?
it.
Free Talk Live.
This is novelist Tom Robbins. When my mother was diagnosed with glaucoma, her conservative Virginia physician told her there was only one treatment that might ease her pain and save her eyesight. That treatment was medical marijuana, which he could not prescribe. I offered to get her some and teach her how to use it effectively, but my father objected because marijuana was against the law. So my mother, who loved to read and walk in nature, was condemned to grow cruelly, unnecessarily blind. Tragedies like this happen all the time, but they don't have to keep happening. To learn more about medical marijuana, call the Marijuana Policy Project at 1-877-JOIN-MPP or visit them on the web at mpp.org.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann with the Week in Review. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer faces a drawn-out wait for a leadership contest after potential rival Andy Burnham announced plans to return to Westminster. The Greater Manchester Mayor says he wants to stand in a by-election in northwest England. If he won it for the Labour Party, he could try to trigger a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer as an MP. Housing Secretary Steve Reid says Labour should be focusing on achievements rather than changing leaders like the previous Conservative government.
First quarter of this year, our economy grew faster than any of the other 7 biggest economies on the planet. That means next week the Chancellor can stand up and announce real help for families and businesses that are struggling with the cost of living crisis. But people aren't feeling that enough yet. So we need to focus more on how we get that change to be real in people's lives.
The US-China summit in Beijing has ended with a note of stability despite few details of progress on trade deals. US President Donald Trump called it an incredible visit, but tensions clearly remain over the issues of tariffs and Taiwan. Nick Harper reports from Washington.
Donald Trump made lots of warm but somewhat vague responses to what had been achieved. He said it had been an incredible visit with fantastic trade deals and that lots of problems had been settled. He said that American farmers would be very happy with the deals. There's a possibility that China, he said, would buy billions of dollars of soybeans. On Boeing aircraft, he said China would buy 200 with a promise to buy a further 750. However, the two sides did not decide to extend the tariff truce due to run out at the end of this year. And on the issue of Taiwan, the US president said he would make a decision in the coming days on whether to sign off on a $14 billion arms package to the island, a move that will likely anger Beijing. But the summit has stabilised relations with no clear deterioration.
South Carolina's top court has overturned Alex Murdaugh's double murder conviction. The disgraced lawyer was convicted in 2023 of murdering his wife Maggie and their 22-year-old son Paul in a case that captivated the nation. Murdaugh now faces retrial. Tony Waterman has more.
In a unanimous opinion, the South Carolina Supreme Court justices say Murdaugh was denied his right to a fair trial because a county court clerk had influenced jurors. They accuse Rebecca Hills of placing her fingers on the scales of justice after jurors testified that she suggested they not trust Murdaugh's testimony. State prosecutors had tried to argue that there was no evidence the comments changed the outcome of the trial. The top court has ordered a retrial, and Murdaugh will remain in jail until that happens.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Mitch McCann, and that was the Week in Review.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. Call in at 603-283-6160. In the studio is Lori.
And Mr. Penguin.
And Rich.
All three of us. So we were talking about Utah and its weird law it's trying to make, but we do have a call. So I'm going to go to the phones and speak to David. I don't know if this is David or if this is another David because I don't know David's last name. So this might be a different David.
Olson.
Oh, okay. So it's not him.
Okay.
New David.
Better David.
New David. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, it's a new David. I called some time ago and the other week.
Oh, okay.
I have a couple of questions. At what point do we let our kids grow up?
When
3.
I
think the second they're out of the womb, you should start letting your kid grow. I think they'll take your kid away if you don't. It's just sort of one of these
That's
things.
true. You feed them and let them grow.
Well,
yeah.
I think he means when do they achieve independence?
Right. And
that's
you
individual.
Look at countries around the world, their kids are independent by 10 years old, and they're walking to the grocery store. It's not like ours. The grocery store is like literally down at the end of the block.
I think this is something that is completely artificial in sense of our government, our society, or the government or the society here has basically decided that kids can't do anything, and so it's become it's not really the parents' fault when they're threatened with arrest because they let their kid walk to down the road to a convenience store or something like that, a couple blocks
play
down
in the park across the street by themselves.
Right, exactly.
Right. The fact that we have the term free range parenting where you just let your kids play outside
that word
is
should
insane.
not exist.
It's insane.
Right.
They're not cattle. But I think that again is an individual thing. You ever meet a person where you're like, I don't know how they made it to adulthood. Maybe their parents want to keep an eye on them a little longer than the kid who's totally proficient at everything.
It's an individual thing, except that the government encroaches.
Which they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's the lowest lowest common denominator, I think is the phrase.
Yeah.
We're treating everybody like they're, mentally retarded.
The problem with that
adults.
is that breeds more lowest common denominators.
Right.
You get
Right.
everyone being retarded and
Exactly.
everyone being incapable of handling their own lives because you've parentified the government and infantilized every single person.
Yes, infantilized. That's the perfect word for this.
Yeah.
Gen Z has their parents coming to job interviews with them.
Oh, that's insane.
It happens all the time.
Didn't used to happen.
I know.
The roads are different. Their roads are safe, and they don't have. You don't have to drive a half a mile to a grocery store. You can walk down to the end of the block.
Also a government problem.
This is also an excuse they use to pass these draconian laws too, though. So I think you're right to some degree, but it's just also one of these things that's it's a poor excuse because it's every time you get in a car with your kid, you're also taking a risk. Yes, the risk may be slightly greater here than in certain countries or certain cities in the U.S. even where the roads are better designed, but it's still a poor excuse.
How
not to let your
well
kid
did you
walk
train
down.
them?
Right.
Because if you can train them to walk to the bus stop and get on the bus and ride 5 miles and get off the bus at the grocery store.
How come the cops don't arrest everybody's parents whose kids are standing at the bus stop waiting for the bus?
You can teach a 4-year-old to look both ways before he crosses the street,
Yes,
right?
you can.
It's crazy to think that you can't let a young kid, you walk to the bus stop by themselves.
Correct.
Well, there you go. So 4 is the age.
No.
No?
It probably depends on the kid, but yeah,
It depends on the kid and it depends on the thing that they want to do.
We provide special buses just for getting kids to school, but in other countries, they use the public bus system to get their kids
I hate
to
school buses.
I had to walk to school as a little kid because my house was too close to school.
You should be able to pass a school bus.
Yeah, walking was good. I liked it.
At some point, somebody said, well, it's not safe, and everybody started driving. Well, if you get rid of the cars and just go to work and let all your kids, you got the older kids, they are working together, and this is kind of, you're separating all these kids of different ages. Let them all walk to school together. You got your high schoolers that'll walk your younger kids to school.
Beat them up.
And
bully them, take their lunch money.
Yeah, but that happened back when I was a kid too.
That's why we don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No, it was fine.
What did they
No
call
one
that?
died.
They had a word for this. it creates character. That's the 80s term for basically letting your kid get scraped up a bit. It's you know what, I mean, I'm not necessarily for all the things that happened in the 80s and 60s and 50s, and I mean there was some pretty bad parenting, but like the parenting just it became this nanny state and infanticide and I can't say that word.
Skip it.
Yeah. Anyway,
pass.
So I feel like a big problem with the comparing us to other societies is one thing is like Japan has a high trust society. There's very little crime, right? There's not
homogeneity.
There's homogeneity, right? There's not drug addicts on the streets. There's not people being catched and released out of the prison system and stuff like that. And then in America, you have a government-funded drug epidemic causing people who are, insane.
So you got to teach your kids to step around the homeless person before they go into the grocery store.
Step over the homeless person.
Okay.
Over.
Well, Japan has respect. They have common courtesy for everything. If you disrespect someone, everybody in the whole neighborhood come out and say something.
How do we get that here? What do you need?
That would be a long road. You would have to end all of the allowance of being a degenerate. That's the problem. That's what they get rid of there. You can't be. I
don't know.
You can't be a public.
What do they do with them?
If you want to be like Japan, you can't have public degeneracy.
Japan.
What do they do with them?
You got to pixelate the degenerates.
Yeah, Japan is not a perfect society by any means.
No,
there's no degeneracy in Japan.
You have to pixelate your degenerates.
Okay.
Japan is definitely not this perfect society that we're making it out to be, even though there is a low crime rate there.
Right.
Seems
like a good start.
There might be no. Hold on. There may be some elements of Japanese society we want to emulate a little bit, but
whatever they're doing to get the low crime rate.
We don't want to go full Japanese, guys. There's also a lot of not so good stuff there too.
That song's really catchy though. Yeah.
I think I'm turning Japanese.
But what they do is they shame people. They put people up on billboards. If you dropped a piece of trash, they put you up on a billboard and say, "Oh, look, this person." And so everything is out of respect. They did that many years ago.
Yeah, that just seems really creepy to me. China does the same thing.
I'm a personal
Libertarian
advocate.
reputation rankings.
I'm a strong advocate for shaming people. I think that shame is a very important tool.
Hey, man,
if someone's being terrible, they should be named and shamed.
I could get behind getting rid of like ticketing and just like putting up people for DUIs and putting up people for crossing the street and open containers.
What's wrong with DUI or open containers?
Well, right, exactly. Cause harm.
I would have no problem with my picture being up on a billboard for it.
No, you just put the picture up when they actually cause harm. Like, oh, this person stole from me.
I mean, that would be better, but like if it means no tickets, I don't have a problem with my picture being shown and saying, this guy's a speeder. If I don't have to pay a ticket, who cares?
Real crimes.
Well, you shouldn't get a ticket.
I agree, but it's like if it's better, I would rather have not pay a ticket and have my name saying he's a speeder.
Thank you for the call, David. People are so tribalistic and like so afraid of losing their tribe that shame is probably the best tool you could use. Like nobody wants to lose their good standing in society. Nobody wants to lose their friends' respect and their family's love. So if you do something terrible and you are publicly shamed for this thing,
I feel like my theme song has always been Bad Reputation. So
you have a bad reputation?
I don't give a damn about my bad reputation.
I don't think I have a reputation. Okay. I'm kind of like a cryptid.
Okay.
You just see me in passing and then I just go do my own thing.
I feel like my reputation is excellent in certain communities, but if you like look outside the community, it's like terrible. Like
yeah.
Just quiet.
Go hang out with like Baptist Christians.
Right?
Oh no.
Shame.
So, yeah, but they're crazy.
That's like 90% of the population, and 98% of the population is crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
getting worse.
Even the people who are like not that crazy are like you're also crazy, but just in a different way.
It's getting worse. There's like conspiracy theories. I love a good conspiracy theory. It's like one of my favorite things.
Okay.
Is to find one that I'm like totally plausible. I'm all in. Right? But the conspiracy theories now are just like
garbage.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous conspiracy theories. I read one today and I'm trying to remember what it was. It was a conspiracy theory about
Well, you know what? One of the problems with the conspiracy theories is
CIA.
that so many of them ended up being true. and they're just they come off as being crazy.
No, those ones are great.
But it's like
I'll get pretty crazy on the conspiracy. Which ones are
the CIA are dropping ticks from the sky to help spread Lyme disease.
Yeah, there's that one.
Yeah.
But there's another one about like maybe it wasn't ticks, it was mosquitoes. Breeding super mosquitoes and releasing them every year.
No, but that's not a conspiracy. They're doing it.
They're breeding super mosquitoes?
Yeah.
Fluoride in the water is another one.
Fluoride is true.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, who would have thought?
Right.
The super
It sounded
mosquito
crazy to me,
super
but-
mosquito conspiracy is that they're breeding mosquitoes that can't breed and releasing them in the wild where there's an abundance of malaria. And so they're overpopulating, and then the breeding
they're
mosquitoes.
outcompeting the breeders?
They're outcompeting the breeders,
Oh, well,
and
that's
then lowering
great.
the malaria rate.
That's fantastic.
Right. But if they can do that, then they can infect the mosquitoes with anything.
That's true.
Unleash it on your population, and all of a sudden you've got hantavirus on a cruise ship.
Whatever happened to the vaccinated vegetables? Did they just quietly do that to us and then
I have no idea.
and not say anything? Because they were like, we're just going to put the mRNA vaccines into the food. And everyone talked about it for a minute, and then it just kind of disappeared.
Maybe
like,
it's going
are
through
we
FDA
all-
approval.
They don't do
You got
that.
to look up that
The
one.
FDA approval is not real.
Okay.
That's another thing. Conspiracy theory. People are like, "Oh, FDA is just a paid
Chill.
shill." Yeah, it's propaganda. Basically,
Okay.
it's a popularity. You're paying for the popularity. So, like, the FDA will approve you if you just give them money.
Yeah,
they don't even investigate anything.
I know what you mean. It's a barrier to entry in the marketplace, so it
Pay to
increases.
play.
Increases the costs to basically everybody.
And they don't even like really care if you're safe or not. They don't test anything.
Well, that's not. Yeah. So the way these programs work, and so I don't know as much about the FDA and food safety and that kind of thing, or drugs, I guess, for that matter. I don't know. But I do know how like electronics work and stuff, and like the agencies that like certify electronics are not the government. It's like other
certified labs.
Yeah, they're labs that do it. They're private labs, and it's going to be the same type of situation for like drugs and things like that. I don't know about
in
labs,
a free market,
but it's like the
right
companies.
Now it's just the FDA.
The
if you don't get FDA approval, you can't do
it.
it.
But the FDA approvals are like they do the testing. The companies do the testing themselves, and then they submit their data to the FDA or
With a
something
big
along
fat
those
check.
lines. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's
I'm
the
sure.
part. You don't
but-
think that somebody's going through every single bit of that study? They're not. They're going.
Well, it depends
It's
what you
all
want.
signed in the right spots, and we got the money. Looks good.
Depends what you want to do with the study, right? Because you mentioned fluoride in the water. There was a recent study that said no effect. Right?
No effect. There's
The
nothing.
fluoride in the water had no discernible effect over those who drank it and those who didn't.
Even the dentist that I take my kids to is like, fluoride in the water is not good for you. Even the dentist.
It's interesting.
He's looking at a different study,
It's
right? Because the latest
interesting.
study, no effect.
The thing with the studies though is something I always like to point out is like it's something like I don't know what the actual number is here, but it's something ridiculous. Like 80% of studies are massively flawed. Like when you're looking at studies and we use
90% of statistics are completely made up.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Well, they're
exactly.
mostly government-funded studies,
But
it's hard to
the
get
problem
private
is
money for this nonsense.
We're basing all of we pass all these laws, and I mean I guess we don't even try and like pretend like there's I guess we do still sometimes. People bring in studies like in hearings that like so I go to the State House all the time, and people will bring in studies and they'll cite statistics and stuff, and and I'm trying to think, there was one that was something about like 96%, it was something like this, according to like the Attorney General of some state, of the vending machines that they studied were like involved in some sort of criminal activity, and that's like the
vending
opposite
machines are
of the case,
turning society into degenerates.
No, it's for money laundering.
Get rid of the vending machines.
But the problem is this is the exact opposite of what we saw in New Hampshire when we were doing this. And so, but the point is there was no basis for that claim by the Attorney General. But the point is it's very similar to that in that the studies, if the studies are not based on scientifically valid, if they're not structured correctly, in other words, if they're not scientifically like valid, and so you can
peer-reviewed process.
Yeah,
even peer review doesn't matter. It's so what the problem is when people go to do these studies, they decide the outcome first, and then they do the study in such a way that they can get the outcome that they want.
That's why you get conflicting studies.
Right.
Because
if the science was actually
right.
settled,
So if you want to be
quote unquote,
if you want to be a conspiracy theorist on fluoride, right? There's a study for you.
I mean,
if you don't want to be a conspiracy theorist on fluoride, there's a study for you.
You know why I don't think that it's good for you is because it's not a natural state of being that human beings are supposed to be drinking fluoride.
There's
definitely natural fluoride already occurs in water.
The problem is that there's definitely ways you can do it to like actually get something useful out of it, but that's not the way you end up with most studies. And so we end up with this problem. And then if you start talking about other like more controversial stuff, it's almost always like completely and utterly flawed. And there's in many cases there's not any real good way of getting non-flawed data.
You got to do the study yourself.
That's right. You want something done right? Do it yourself. We're going to go to David, the old David in New Mexico. Oh, man. Hi, David.
F you, Richie.
Thank you.
And what do you mean old?
Because there was a new David before you.
Who called?
We've got new and improved David.
Not old as in age, old as in the same David from before that we know.
Although you're probably old now too, right?
I've been replaced.
Yes.
What about
in
Dave,
hearts and minds?
David what about well, maybe in yours, thank God. What about
Dave Ridley?
What?
He's Dave and not David.
Yeah.
No. You see, you didn't even let me finish the
I'm so
sentence,
sorry.
and that's why you don't know.
All right.
Because the sentence would have finished like this. What about David from San Francisco?
I don't know that guy.
What about him? He's in San Francisco.
I don't know that guy. You're the Dave from not San Francisco. You're the Dave from New Mexico, right?
Mm. Yeah, him and Sarah are neighbors.
I'm from Minnesota, but I'm in New Mexico.
And you got kids, right? And you had a whole legal thing, and I don't really want to talk about it.
I don't have kids. Actually, that's a good segue because you
No. I don't want to hear about it. I shouldn't have mentioned it.
John J. Romero and Monica Zamora.
I don't respect Chris' opinion enough to care what you think. So I'm going to say what I called about.
Okay.
Which is what your program is supposedly all about. I mean, it's what you open every segment.
It sure
with,
is.
moron.
What do you want to say?
Yeah. So reverse engineering. You were talking about reversing engineering studying. And Chris jogged my memory. I was playing along with y'all until
starting at the end and then using the study to build to the conclusion.
Okay. And so reverse engineering, you're talking about in studies. They also do that in the courts. They also do that in the courts, especially like the children's courts, family courts, because what they'll do is when somebody pays an attorney, I was pro se, and the BIT, the rest of it, that I was opposing, meaning the mother of my children, who was then already married to the next guy, and he had some money, and so they used like $30,000 or more to pay a professional attorney, which I couldn't match him. And what that attorney did is they looked in all of the law concerning children, family, custody, divorce, all this crap, and they said, okay, so what can we use in here to get rid of the biological father?
Two-parent household.
If we can, here's a thing. And so we didn't come into this saying that the father is A, B, C, and D, but if we can prove B and C, then we can get rid of the father. So what can we do to prove B and C so that we can get rid of the father, even though that's not what we came in here about, but we're going to use it. That's how they do court cases.
Yep. That is how they do court cases. That's how they do policing, too. They decide the crime and then find a way to fill it.
What's the common denominator? It's your effing government. That's the way these effing morons operate.
At one point in time, I tried to get custody of my son when he was like a baby. And I went to my mom's like, what do I do? How do I find an attorney to get custody of my son? And my mom went, you don't need an attorney. I didn't have an attorney.
Well, it's because you're the mom.
Well, I went, well, you lost.
Oh.
Like, my dad had an attorney and won. Like, I would like to win this. And then things went sideways and never happened.
Well, the concept of winning in domestic relations, children, family, whatever, the concept of winning should be eliminated.
Yes. It's all about the best interest of the children. It should be.
Oh, no.
It should be.
Lori, no, it shouldn't be. Because that's exactly, they are already doing that.
The actual.
They use that as a weapon.
No, the actual best interest. The actual best interest is having two parents.
The best interest in the best interest of the children was David
to the problem with divorces is just to take the kids away from both parents and give them to somebody else.
What was that, David?
It's like the worst idea.
Your rationale is flawed because the best, it's right there in the effing title. Best is not objective. Best is subjective, which means your opinion.
Man, if only there was an arbiter to help decide these things.
Yeah, like maybe a jury of your peers would decide what is best for the child.
Or an expert.
Juries are terrible, guys. I hate to break it to you, but
F the effing experts, because they're paid off, just like the effing judge and the effing attorney.
So it's not. So the problem is, when I say the best interest of the child, I mean the actual best interest and not some box best interest.
As determined by whom?
Yeah.
Maybe the child.
Yeah, I could go for this
Maybe
one.
the child gets to determine what their best interest is. Maybe the child says, I want my father.
Let's put the 4-year-old up on the stand and ask them, who do you want?
Or a baby.
Hold on. Why would they have to go up on the stand? Why can't somebody just be like, who do you want to live with? Do you want?
That's coming up on the stand. But okay,
you put the baby in the middle of the room, and whoever it crawls to gets.
There you go.
Custody.
Yes, this is great. I love this plan because it would work so much better than what they currently do.
Oh.
Which way are you going to crawl, baby?
I accidentally dropped David. I feel bad. I was trying to mute him for a second.
You did the right thing.
I was trying to mute him for a second because there was too many
probably
voices
has the
happening.
advantage in that situation because she's got the milk. But
no,
is the baby hungry?
So
you make sure that baby's hungry before
Daddy gets the artificial bottle. Like, come on, come here,
in
come here,
most
Timmy.
situations, unless there's like some kind of abuse happening, most situations, the best interest of the child is to have both of their parents involved in their life. And so, like, if it's
but you're talking about primary custody or separated custody or equal custody.
Why should it not always be equal unless there's some kind of, extenuating
because geography matters.
I'm not sure if
Does it?
I'm not sure if it is the best. Like I'm just like thinking about this and like I can't conclude that it is best if both parents are in any child's life. Like it's entirely dependent on the the particulars of the situation in every
as
case.
long as there's not like neglect or abuse going on. I feel like it is in every case because the more perspectives and life experiences that a person has in their life growing up, the more rounded of a person you're going to be. If you have one person your whole life telling you,
but nobody has one person their whole life, right?
Yeah,
like,
if you have like
you're saying one parent, like there's other people presumably in your kids' lives, right? Like I mean, there's people at school, there's other kids,
a village.
There's I mean,
maybe
it's
my kids are homeschooled. They don't have other kids at school. Like,
they're like Lori clones.
So aren't you doing exactly the opposite of what you're saying is in the best interest of the child by only having one? Well, you've limited the number of other people that they're interacting with.
I don't have one. I'm married. I have a husband.
Hold on.
And then they have family.
I follow what you're saying.
Friends.
I follow what you're saying. But think about it this way. You're saying if they only have one, that's limiting the number of people in their lives, right? But there's other people in their lives besides you and your partner. And if you're only letting your kid, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but if you only let your kids, if you never let them out of the house, right, that's still less than somebody else who's only got one parent, but they get out of the house.
Yeah, but what if they don't? I'm just saying.
Hypothetically, she locks them in the basement.
Right, or like you live on
and the police find him 10 years later malnourished.
No, hypothetically, you live on a farm and you're homeschooled and your mom is the only person there because she's a single mom, okay? And you just don't have a lot of outside perspectives.
You wake up every morning to go like milk the cows.
And I think that fathers and mothers bring entirely different teaching to a parenting situation.
Yes.
Like fathers are much when my girls were little, no, not
authoritative.
They would say mom's a soft girl and dad's a hard boy because dads are like more. If you fall down,
child comes to dad and goes like, "Go ask your mother."
No, if you fall down, your dad's gonna be like, "You're fine."
Usually they are.
And if you fall down, your mom's gonna be like, "Are you okay?" and give you a hug.
Yeah.
It's a totally different energy.
Single moms, why we have a wimpy generation.
That's right. So you need. It's correct. Single moms are
That's
why
how
you
come
have,
we have the nanny state.
Is why you have weak men. You need both perspectives. This has been Free Talk Live. We've been great. You've had a wonderful time. Thanks for listening.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people like passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.